Revealing my brother's darkest secrets sparked an explosive Mother's Day confrontation, leading my family to cut ties with him. Years of repressed feelings and unresolved tensions exploded over the Mother's Day breakfast. For the sake of peace, our family continued to strive to maintain civility even though my brother Sam had always treated me badly. I was usually the silent one, wanting to be his buddy in spite of everything, and forgiving him for things I shouldn't have. For a long time I let him treat me whatever he pleased since I had no idea what a true sibling relationship should feel like when I was growing up. I've matured emotionally over the years and currently reside with my parents. I became resentful of Sam after realizing how poorly he had treated me, and I eventually stopped talking to him. Mother's Day followed. Sam and his fiancée Leah joined us for brunch. I went to help my mom even though I had a migraine because I was afraid Sam would abruptly cancel, as he frequently does. His only remarks were patronizing, but I hardly spoke to him. We went outdoors after lunch, and the heat was making my migraine worse. When I asked Sam to go, he became irate and told me that no one had requested me to come in the first place. The anxiety increased even after my mother swiftly defended me. I finally had enough. After years of frustration, I turned around and faced him. Sam had already acknowledged that he wasn't pleased with Leah, claiming that she made him miserable, but he was scared of being by himself, I reminded him. I practically reminded him of how he had wounded me. He once grabbed me by the neck and held me against a wall until I passed out when I attempted to stop him from driving while intoxicated. He has never shown regret for that night, the PTSD it created, or the grief he inflicted. Even the fact that he didn't come see me in the hospital following my injury or during my 3-month recuperation at home was disregarded by him. It was quite painful. His defense was feeble when he did reply. He asserted that my college residence was funded by our parents, as though that in some way excused his actions. They also covered him, I reminded him. Puffing up his chest, avoiding responsibility and challenging anyone to challenge him were all hallmarks of Sam. I made it plain that he was not a member of my family at that point and instructed him not to get in touch with me ever again. As they conversed, my dad gently led me back to the car. I had said everything I needed to say, so I didn't listen. My mom cut off Leah's attempt to clarify that Sam had denied me permission to stay with them due to their 2 enormous dogs. I never intended to bring my own dog Pebbles, but Sam had lied and said I did. Sam vowed that as long as I was around, he would never return to the house. Mom promptly put an end to my brother Sam's recent attempt to have my parents expel me. She said that it's entirely his fault and that I'm far higher on the family hierarchy than he is. Mom was first conflicted. As a mother, it was difficult for her to think about severing Sam's relationship even though she knew he was totally at fault. However, Mom acknowledged that she was incensed when I detailed all the horrible things he had done to me and other family members. Assuming that sibling arguments were common and that I was always the one who was fine, she even expressed regret for not disciplining him more when we were younger. Sam refused, saying he wasn't ready to deal with her yet, even though she texted him that an apology would be greatly appreciated. My parents informed me that they would not go to Sam's wedding if I was not invited. They desired that he be held accountable for his deeds. To be honest, the idea behind the wedding is that I wouldn't attend even if I were invited. I revealed to Mom that Sam had actually embezzled almost $800 from Dad over the years, which was more than we initially believed. I also disclosed that he had harmed me physically and mentally by having sex in both my parents and my beds. Despite all, Sam's success at work is solely due to Dad's efforts, and on Father's Day, he was unable to send a text. He became upset when Mom reminded him, saying it ruined his day. That really got us going. We became aware of how badly Sam had fouled things up as we vented. Both Sam and Leah, his fiancée, don't have many friends. She is angry that their grandmother won't give Leah's child all of her attention, so she doesn't talk to either her mother or her sister. Given that I enjoy organizing things, they most likely expected me to assist in planning their wedding, baby shower and other events. Now that Sam would make me dog sit without my consent, I don't know who will assist her. Years ago, Leah made offensive remarks regarding babysitting, saying that Mom wouldn't want strangers watching her kids. This further strained her relationship with her mother. They probably thought I would act as the compassionate sister and offer assistance, but that isn't the case. Sam used to treat me like his therapist, but he didn't show any sympathy after my 14-year-old dog died. In the meantime, he revealed that he is afraid for the day she passes away since he wouldn't know what to do with one of his senior dogs. Well, he is no longer able to rely on me. Now that Leah is aware of Sam's actual feelings for her, I assume the engagement is tense. Leah is slowly coming to the realization that Sam has also lied to her about me. To be honest, I have no idea or interest in how it is going for them. Both of them are blocked. We even wager that Sam believes I'll give in and get him a present for his birthday without him having to say sorry. He will be rudely awakened. Dad was outraged and said, "I can't even trust my own family," after learning how much money Sam had stolen. For me, that was the tipping moment. I used to be amenable to apologizing and mending our friendship, but I'm done now. When Leah showed us the sonogram, I felt sick to my stomach. With the hope that Sam would change his mind, my family and I had dreaded the day when he would be married and have a child. In particular, Leah struggles to care for herself. Unfortunately, they both damaged their relationships with everyone who could have been of assistance to them. In light of everything that has transpired, my mom and I made an effort to make Dad's birthday last week extra special. Every year, Dad's place of employment hosts a family appreciation day at a nearby amusement park. Sam also works there, but unless we go together, he normally doesn't pay attention to these activities. On his birthday, Sam surprisingly texted Dad to ask if they wanted to do something over the weekend. Dad said Sam would see him closer to the date because he had been working on projects and was taking a week off around his birthday. Sam texted once again on Friday as the weekend drew near, wondering if they might get together. Dad had a little shift on Sunday, and Saturday was the day for family appreciation. Dad didn't want to go alone, so he told Sam they were busy, even though my mom had informed him he could go without her if he so desired. Even if they had been free, I sincerely hoped they wouldn't consent to meet him, so I was relieved when Mom told me about it. "Maybe we'll get back to him about his birthday around Christmas," Mom joked after reassuring me. Even though he lives only 10 minutes away, Sam is notoriously awful at commemorating occasions and providing gifts, and he frequently sends cards much after the customary time. For example, what did he anticipate happening? "After everything, I needed that laugh." As an aside, a commenter brought up the fact that Sam's chokehold was truly a felony, that is, the strangulation of a kid. I was struck with that realization. I never really thought it was a crime because I was so accustomed to his physical outbursts. On that one, he totally avoided the repercussions. Although I believe that too much time has gone, I still want to see whether there is anything I can do legally about it. In any case, hearing about the text conversation with Sam made me chuckle and helped to diffuse the tension. "If Sam is ready to deal with me yet?" a humorous commenter inquired. The irony is that he most likely isn't aware that Saturday was actually scheduled. Since he and Dad share a workplace, Dad might easily learn about Sam's schedule, including that Sunday duty. In any case, Sam will believe that my parents are ignoring him on my behalf and come to the realization that they are not forgiving of him so easily. He might genuinely comprehend the repercussions for the first time. Recently, I had another unsettling thought. What does Sam's violent conduct signify for my future niece or nephew if it hasn't changed? Even after 15 years, the trauma still affects me. Sam has a history of losing control under pressure, getting lethargic, and drinking more. I'm also concerned for their child because Leah can hardly take care of herself. Sam probably wants me to be sympathetic and take on the role of caregiver. But even if I wanted to, I honestly don't know if I could handle that legally. Given how much time has gone by, anxiety makes me question whether the authorities would even consider me seriously. We showed up unannounced, which actually means we came twice a year, both times when we had car issues nearby as Leah has complained about. Her family, meanwhile, frequently visits without any problems. Leah isn't very important to any of us anyway. Not knowing if our dad would survive, she once pulled Sam and me from his hospital bed so we could go to her mom's weekly dinner. She used it as a weapon when Sam actually yelled at her on the way back, accusing him of not giving a damn about her family. Mom finally threw Sam out after he failed to discipline his dog after it hurt her, asking him to get his act together. Although I know my parents truly love me, I find it frustrating that they haven't held him accountable in the past. They were fostering children at the time to help pay for Sam's education tuition and to make ends meet, so they would have lost their license if they had reported him. By that point, Sam was only home during breaks, and fortunately, there were no other children there. Regarding childcare, I no longer have any sympathy for Sam or Leah. Before allowing them to abuse their child, or, worse, if Sam ever throws his child on me without asking, I would contact CPS. I no longer consider them family. Let's move on to the next family matter, my brother's wedding. Because of his controlling mother-in-law, there were no children. At this point, Leo, my kid, won't interact with him in any way. My family has always been close-knit and has supported me in raising Leo. I am a 46-year-old single father. Leo's favorite person in the past was my brother Jack. Because Jack and Mary had flexible work hours when Leo was younger, they frequently took him to the zoo, aquarium, or even camping. As my son got older, he began to share my brother's passions for video games, photography, and music. Leo informed me he wanted to follow in his uncle's footsteps when he was 9 years old. All of this is to suggest that they were very close. My brother told me last year that he and Mary, his girlfriend, were getting married. When I questioned Jack and his girlfriend about it, they told me it was all Karen's idea, my stepsister's mother, because I knew they didn't think marriage was a good idea. Karen was paying for the wedding, so Jack and Mary didn't give a damn, so they let her organize everything, including the location, the food, the music, etc. Karen made the decision to organize a destination wedding in an upscale hotel. Last July my son and I received the invitation that was sent to us both. If I so desired, I even had a +1. I attempted to book our hotel stay as soon as the wedding website launched. Since the link wasn't working and I didn't want to take the chance of not getting a room, I had to call the hotel. The confirmation email stated room for 2 adults, but I didn't give it much thought because I thought the hotel personnel were having trouble communicating in English. At about the same time, I also purchased our airline tickets. Less than a month before the wedding, in January, my stepsister called me in tears. Karen had chosen the wrong location. It turns out that the resort was exclusively for adults and that children were not permitted. At the time, my kid was 13. They informed me that the entire resort was child-free, so Leo wouldn't even be permitted to attend the ceremony or reception when I asked if we might stay at another hotel. Disappointed, I promised my stepsister that I would discuss it with my kid. She insisted that she and Jack wanted to tell him face to face, even though I knew how thrilled he was about his uncle's wedding. To be honest, my son was heartbroken. When he was informed that he would not be allowed to go, he broke down in tears. He begged them to move the wedding and even offered to donate all of his savings. After half an hour, my brother became irate and told Leo that the day wasn't about him and that he was being self-centered. After a while, Leo apologized and retired to his room. My son ceased communicating with my brother after the wedding. Leo would disregard any messages Jack sent him unless they were important to me. For instance, he couldn't get through to me, so he would only respond if Jack asked him to tell me something. Leo would answer simple queries at family get-togethers, such as "Can you pass the salt?" or "Help grandma with the plates," but he would turn away from Jack and Mary if they attempted to strike up a conversation or inquire about school. To make up for the wedding, Jack and Mary promised to treat Leo to a memorable spring break getaway a month after the wedding. After turning down the invitation, my son informed me that he didn't want to accompany them. I knew he had always wanted to go there, so it was devastating, but he refused to back down. Leo had a similar incident on his birthday. After I told him that I was going to throw him a party, he urged me not to invite his aunt and uncle. He claimed that if they didn't want him on their special day, he didn't want them on his. I attempted to persuade him by reminding him that they were family and that they were sincerely sorry. When I informed my brother that he was not invited, he was devastated. But this past weekend at my mom's place, things reached a breaking point. The topic of Leo's plans for college came up. Leo told my mother that he was no longer interested in going to the same university as Jack and that he had decided to pursue another course of study. "Why would I want to be like your uncle?" my son said in response to my mother's statement that "I thought you wanted to be like your uncle." I stepped in and informed Leo that although he didn't need to be so impolite, the harm had already been done. After hearing what he had to say, my brother and stepsister quickly fled. My brother texted me last night to call me a jerk for letting Leo harbor resentment. He even implied that I wasn't doing anything to improve their connection by accusing me of being envious of it. I explained to him that these were the results of his behavior and that he was solely responsible for letting his future mother-in-law organize the wedding when she obviously didn't take my child into account. He ended the call. My mother and some relatives believe that in order for us to all move on, I should make my kid forgive my brother, saying that it was only a small error and that there was no malice. However, I don't believe I ought to. My kid was obviously harmed, and he should only be given the opportunity to move past his hurt and forgive them when he is ready. Recent update. For a while, we will be avoiding family gatherings. My brother promised to accept Leo's boundaries after we spoke. In addition, he clarified the actual events, and most importantly, Leo is currently doing considerably better. Here is a longer update for those who are interested. I told my mother that until things calmed down and, more importantly, until Leo felt at ease again, we would no longer be going to family events. I believe she finally realized how much Leo had been hurting, even if she was rightfully upset. My mother surprised me by telling me that she was adamant that Leo forgive Jack since he had fallen into a depression. I clarified that pressuring Leo to forgive could end in driving him farther away. When I informed my sister that we would no longer be attending family events, she expressed sadness as well, but she claimed to understand. To ensure that the kids could still spend time together, she recommended that we establish our own weekly ritual. For the past few weeks, that's what we've been doing. Leo spends time at her place one week, then my nieces and nephews visit me the next. Leo seems content with this arrangement, and it appears to be working so far. The fact that he is not under parental pressure to engage with his uncle, in my opinion, is beneficial. I texted my brother the weekend after my post, requesting a meeting and conversation. Mary wasn't there because I told him I wanted to talk to him alone. Jack instantly expressed regret for his actions and words, expressing his regret for both. He supported my presumption that his frequent arguments with Mary had caused him worry. He also said that the arguments had gotten so heated that he had thought about getting a divorce. I may come out as harsh, but I informed him that I only wanted the truth about what had happened and didn't care about that. According to Jack, he was unaware of the child-free location until November. But Mary had known for a long time, perhaps all of it, as many of you suspected. It seems that this all began when Jack and Mary took Leo to the beach a few years ago. My son unintentionally called Jack Dad when they were playing, but he swiftly corrected himself. According to Jack, it was a minor, innocuous error, similar to when a toddler unintentionally addresses a teacher as Mom. Leo felt ashamed, but Jack dismissed it with a laugh. The problem was that Leo had been overheard by Jack's stepmother, Karen, and her husband Phil, who had accompanied them on that trip. Karen lost out when they got back from their vacation, saying she was triggered by a random kid calling Jack Dad, especially since she knew Mary couldn't have kids. Karen became very poisonous and aggressive toward Mary, demanding, among other things, that Leo not be welcomed over when she visited, despite Mary's attempts to clarify that it was only a misunderstanding. At first, Jack and Mary only intended to elope without a celebration when they made the decision to get married. However, Mary was tricked by Karen into allowing her to organize the ideal wedding for her only daughter. Mary gave in because she wanted to maintain harmony and was worn out after years of emotional manipulation. Karen deliberately selected the child-free location and took control of the wedding preparations. Mary found out after the place was reserved, but Karen played the victim when she attempted to protest. According to Mary, she tried to work out a deal with the resort, requesting an exception so the kids could stay at a separate hotel and yet attend the ceremony and reception, but the manager was adamant about the rules. Mary became more and more nervous as the wedding date drew near, and in November she told Jack the truth. My brother claims that Mary's emotional outburst was caused by her mother's persistent bullying and manipulation. And she felt terrible for allowing things to come to this point. Jack informed me that rather than excluding Leo and my sister's kids from the wedding, he would have intervened and called it off if he had known sooner. Canceling was not an option though, as many individuals had already reserved their hotel rooms and flights by that point. Ultimately, I informed my brother that none of this justified their actions, particularly Mary's. A woman in her 40s was arguing with a child. When all Leo wanted to do was offer the $2,000 he had saved so he could attend Jack's special day, she screamed at him and called him selfish. I told Jack that he had disappointed Leo, who admired him and thought of him as a hero. Jack had demonstrated to Leo that Jack valued him more than he did. I also informed him that I would be going low contact myself and that I would continue to support Leo's decision to stop communicating with him. I told Jack that he had already apologized enough when he begged for another chance to apologize to Leo. He had no choice except to wait and see if my kid would ever accept his apology. Despite his seeming sadness, Jack assured me that he would honor our requests and give us some space and time. Regarding my son, I expressed regret for not advocating for him earlier and for making him attend weekly family meetings. I informed him that he was free to choose how he wanted to manage that aspect of the family in the future. Although he was hesitant to stop going, I assured him that I would always be there for him and that I wouldn't be offended by his choice. Leo recommended that we spend more time together, just the two of us, rather than attending weekly family events, which pleased me. He suggested that we partake in some of the things he and my brother used to do. We attended a vintage car exhibition last week, and we're going to see Wicked the following week. It sounds like fun, but I'm not a theatrical person. I also expressed my concern that he had stopped doing the activities he loved and advised him not to give them up because he had a disagreement with a loved one. I clarified that he may still enjoy things alone or with a companion. He acknowledged that he had stopped doing such things out of spite for Jack, even though he truly wanted to. I chose to buy him some games that he had been looking forward to but had refunded following the altercation with my brother as an early Christmas present. Using his PC and my PS5, he even persuaded me to play one of his Final Fantasy games online. Since the last Final Fantasy the game I played was still in 2D. I'll admit that I have no idea what I'm doing, but he seems to like seeing me fail. We would appreciate any advice you may have. For my birthday, We ultimately agreed to travel to his ideal location. I was a little depressed that I wouldn't be celebrating my brother's birthday for the first time in nearly 50 years, but all that matters is that I had my son. Leo is less anxious and happier as a result of family matters. In relation to family, it appears that they are at last honoring our limits, which is a relief. All I can hope for is that my brother can improve his marriage. Even though I don't like what they did, I do want him to be content. Parents used my wedding fund for my twins' lavish celebration. So I finally cut them off, but now they're back needing my help. I, 28F, must explain everything here. I've had this rivalry with my twin sister Emily for as long as I can remember. In my case, it wasn't just between us, but I suppose that's normal for siblings. Without even recognizing it, my parents were deliberately pressuring us into it. I was just there, and they've always treated Emily like she's something unique. I'll tell you why this occurred. Emily is precisely 12 minutes my senior. You heard correctly, 12 minutes. It seems that's all it takes to be my family's golden child. Emily was their miracle baby, the one who could do no wrong, from the day we were born. I wasn't a horrible kid or anything, but she always received the credit for whatever I did. My first recollection of this partiality dates back to kindergarten. Both of us participated in the school play. I played the main part in Little Red Riding Hood and Emily got 2 lines as a flower. Emily started crying on stage during the concert after forgetting her lines. My parents missed my entire performance as they hurried to console her right away. Later that evening, they didn't even recognize my accomplishment. All they could speak about was Emily's bravery for trying. For the duration of primary school, this pattern persisted. Emily would be told, "Oh honey, you tried your best," if she received a C on an exam, but I would hardly be acknowledged if I received consecutive A's. I recall working on a science fair project about renewable energy for weeks in 4th grade. I conducted research, constructed models, and even spoke with regional environmental specialists. When I handed my parents the blue ribbon for winning first place, they hardly gave it a glance. Emily had a difficult day during volleyball practice, but that's still wonderful. Can we discuss this at a later time? After that, I stopped showing them my honors. The worst thing was that they made no effort to conceal their partiality. My dad used to make jokes at family get-togethers about how Emily was their firstborn and, despite the fact that we are twins, those 12 minutes somehow made her the older sister. "Emily is our responsible one. She looks after her younger sister," he would remark. I was standing there, listening to them reduce me to Emily's shadow and nothing more. Things started to have a significant psychological impact on me in middle school. I became quite driven to prove myself. I joined as many clubs as I could, including the student council, the debate team, and the math club. I was motivated to excel at everything, so I studied late into the night. Emily, on the other hand, coasted through, doing very little but somehow receiving more attention and recognition. One particular incident in particular sticks out. I was selected to compete in the state-level mathematics competition on behalf of our school in the 8th grade. I prepared for months, frequently studying until 2 or 3 in the morning. Emily had a recreational soccer match on the same day as the competition. In addition to not showing up to help, my parents didn't even inquire about how I was doing. All they could speak about when I brought home the trophy for second place was how Emily needed to be cheered up because her team had lost their game. With greater stakes, high school was more of the same. I was still participating in as many extracurricular activities as I could, taking all of my AP classes, and keeping my GPA at 4.0. Emily spent much of her time at parties and barely kept up a C average. She was still the fun and social one though, and I was criticized for being too competitive and serious. The discrepancy was brought to light during our senior year. Because of my academic accomplishments, I was named valedictorian, accepted on a full scholarship to a top university, and even had an article in the local newspaper. Emily enrolled at community college after barely graduating. However, my parents bemoaned Emily's failure to get into her first choice school for the whole of our graduation celebration, which was meant to be for the 2 of us. In their address, they made no mention of my accomplishments. The pivotal moment occurred while attending college. I continued to keep perfect grades while working part-time to support myself while attending a prestigious institution to study computer science. I would return home from every break with the hope that something had changed and that perhaps my parents had begun to see my value. Instead, it was Emily this, and Emily that. Somehow her decision to leave community college after just 1 semester was interpreted as a sign that she was brave enough to follow her own path. Then, in my junior year, came Thanksgiving break. Everything changed when my uncle, who had always had a slightly excessive love for alcohol, made a mistake. He disclosed that my parents hadn't even intended to have twins while he was thinking back on my mom's pregnancy. They were devastated to learn they were expecting 2 children when they had only intended to have 1. My dad, being the docile person he is, simply shrugged and said, "We'll figure it out." My mom had been concerned about how they would manage 2 babies. However, their method of figuring it out was to basically choose a favorite and focus all of their energy on her, which was, of course, Emily, their cherished firstborn. In their minds, those pivotal 12 minutes were the difference. After years of wondering why they didn't care about my accomplishments, everything suddenly fell into perspective when my uncle confessed this to me when we were seated at the dinner table. It all made perfect sense. I was the afterthought and the unexpected addition, not the child they had hoped for. Something in me altered after that realization. I gave up trying to please them. I put all of my attention into creating my own life instead. I gave my all to my coursework and internships, wanting to succeed for myself, not for them. I received several job offers from prestigious tech businesses by the time I graduated. I took a job at a promising startup as a software engineer, and after 3 years, I was promoted to senior developer. Emily, meanwhile, was organizing this lavish wedding after meeting a wealthy man at a pub and having a brief flirtation. Naturally, my folks were ecstatic. They couldn't even recall the name of the company I worked for, yet they spent hours on the phone with her talking about the specifics of the wedding. My company was getting ready for an initial public offering, IPO, and my stock options were worth more than Emily's fiancé made in a year. The irony was that I was actually doing very well. They never inquired about my professional background. It was the wedding fund situation that ultimately crushed my heart. The only one who had ever treated us fairly was our grandmother. She left each of us a sizable sum of money before she died, especially for our upcoming weddings. She had been very explicit that we were to share the money evenly. She told me in private that she was aware of my parents' treatment of me and that this was her method of making sure I would have something that was exclusively mine. Naturally, though, my parents were unable to honor her last desires. Emily wanted this ridiculously lavish wedding, complete with a celebrity photographer, a fancy outfit, and several locations. They chose to take from my share of the inheritance rather than urging her to cut back or asking her wealthy fiancé to contribute more. They didn't even tell me. They didn't ask. It wasn't until months after the wedding that my inebriated uncle, yes, the same one, spoke about it at another family get-together. They responded angrily when I confronted them about it. "Oh honey," my mother remarked, dismissively waving her hand, "we were going to tell you eventually. When we can, we'll reimburse you." Even worse was my father's reply. "Well, Emily needed it more. She's the conventional one getting married, and since you're so preoccupied with your work, it's unlikely that you'll even desire a lavish wedding." I felt nothing as I stood in their kitchen staring at these folks who were meant to be my parents. This deep emptiness, without any sadness or rage. They were unable to even comprehend the wrongness of what they had done. They believed that since it was for Emily, it was totally acceptable to take my inheritance without my consent. Emily had always been the focus. I returned to my flat that evening and gave my life a lot of thought. I came to see that Emily had eclipsed or completely disregarded every significant turning point, accomplishment, and proud moment. My graduation from high school. They were too preoccupied in comforting Emily over her grades. Due to Emily's difficulties at community college, my college scholarship was hardly recognized. Emily was preparing for her wedding, so she disregarded my first promotion. I did something I should have done years ago when I opened my laptop. I emailed them and said, "I am aware of the wedding fund. I am aware that, without consulting me, you used my inheritance to pay for Emily's wedding. The way you've treated me throughout my life is more important than the money. You never made an effort to conceal the reality that I was never the daughter you desired. I'm done attempting to win your affection and acceptance. I'm over being the kid you didn't want. Do not get in touch with me again unless it is to repay my money, please." I felt a tremendous weight lift off my shoulders as I pushed send, banned their numbers, and deleted them from all social media. I didn't have to worry about trying to meet Emily's standards or gaining acceptance that I would never receive for the first time in my life. It has been a life-changing year. I gave my job and personal development my all attention. My stock options are now worth more than Emily's whole wedding expenses because our company's initial public offering, IPO, was a success. I started therapy to address my childhood trauma, purchased my own home in a desirable area of the city, and formed sincere friendships with individuals who genuinely respect me for who I am. Occasionally, Emily makes an effort to connect with distant family members or mutual friends. She will write things like, "Family should stick together," or "You're still my sister." But as she saw our parents discount my accomplishments throughout the years, where was this sense of family? When she joyfully received my inheritance for her wedding, where was that? She shared our parents' complicity in everything. Some relatives have attempted to place the blame on me by claiming that I'm being too severe, that blood is thicker than water, and other such things. However, these are the same individuals who silently observed my parents' years-long favoritism of Emily. They remain silent after seeing my treatment. They are no longer able to express an opinion. It's interesting because cutting them off has made me realize who my true family is. My therapist, who is helping me see that none of this was my fault. My coworkers, who applaud my accomplishments, and my college best friend, who assisted me in moving into my new home. The ones that genuinely care about me are these. I have been offered a role as team lead at the firm I work for, which recently launched a new office in a different state. I'm making a decision for the first time in my life without considering how it will compare to Emily or what my parents will say, and it's a great opportunity. It feels amazing to be living my life for myself. Am I the jerk for cutting them off entirely? Reddit? I often question whether I'm being overly dramatic, but every time I consider the possibility of getting back in touch with them, I reflect back on all the years I spent feeling inadequate, and I know I made the correct decision. It's going to get even more complicated now, though, and I need your honest thoughts on what I should do next. Update 1. 2 weeks ago, everything changed drastically. My phone began ringing with several calls from my uncle when I was in the middle of a team meeting. My initial reaction was to ignore it because family calls always indicate turmoil, but I decided to answer it because there was something unique about receiving several calls in quick succession. He began, trembling a little. "Hey, it's Uncle Greg." I knew right away that something was amiss. He is typically the type of guy that remains positive even in the face of adversity. "I need to discuss your parents with you." I felt sick to my stomach. I knew this couldn't be good news because I hadn't heard from them in 2 years. "What's happening?" Trying to speak steadily, I asked. "They were involved in an accident. A rather poor one. They are in the medical facility." He paused, and I heard him inhaling deeply. "Their car was struck by a truck that ran a red light. Your dad is in critical condition, and your mom has several fractures. They have spent a few days in the hospital." Days. I said it again, raising my voice. "And until now, no one had the idea to tell me." He said, "They wanted me to let you know," in a calmer tone. "I believe, they want to see you, I believe. That's not all though. Their insurance is having issues." There was, of course. He went on to tell me that 6 months prior, my parents had allowed their health insurance to lapse. They had been having financial difficulties due to credit card debt and poor investments. They were far from being discharged from the hospital, and the medical bills were already mounting. "What about Emily?" I knew the answer when I asked. Uncle Greg let out a sigh. "She said she couldn't assist with the bills when she visited once, immediately following the accident. She didn't want to ask her husband for money so soon after their honeymoon, for some reason. She is occupied with her stepchildren, her new family." That made me giggle. Emily is typical, always coming up with an excuse. Emily was too proud to approach her wealthy husband for assistance with our parents' medical expenditures, even though she had no trouble taking my fortune for her wedding. I sat in my office for a while after I hung up with Uncle Greg, gazing out the window at the skyline of the city. I didn't miss the irony. Now that my stock options had vested and I had more than enough money saved to pay for their medical expenses, I was truly in a position to assist them. Did I want to, though? I was unable to concentrate on anything else for the following few days. I jumped every time my phone buzzed, anticipating a call regarding their status. I couldn't stop picturing them in hospital beds, presumably wondering if I would ever arrive. Since they were my parents, I felt bad for even thinking about not helping. The years of favoritism, the stolen fortune, and the way they only contacted me now because they required something from me were all brought back to me though. Simply put, this was about money. Not about re-establishing contact or making amends. 3 days after Uncle Greg called, Emily texted me. "I am aware that you are performing well at work. Parents are in dire need of assistance. This is your opportunity to act morally." My opportunity to act morally? When she was using my inheritance to pay for her wedding, where was this moral compass? Where had she been all those years when she saw our parents brush off my accomplishments? My parents finally called themselves after a week of internal conflict. Although my mother's speech was weak and obviously influenced by painkillers, her deceptive methods remained same. As if the past 2 years of silence hadn't occurred, she began, "Sweetheart, we're in a really tough situation here. According to the specialists, the expenses might reach $200,000, not including rehabilitation. We acknowledge our shortcomings as parents, but..." I interrupted her. "No, you aren't, and you never will be. You haven't gotten in touch with me in 2 years, and the only reason is that you need money. My dad's voice said, "That's not fair." He was probably on speaker. Your parents are us. Family supports family. That statement, family helps family, set me off. Anger that had been bottled up for years came to the surface. Family helps family. I said it again. When you used my inheritance to pay for Emily's wedding, where was that feeling? When you missed my college graduation, where were you? Where did you neglect every significant event in my life because you were too preoccupied with showing your admiration for Emily? After a brief period of silence, my mother began to cry. Those recognizable, cunning tears I had heard so many times when she wanted to make me feel bad. She said, "How can you be so cruel? The hospital is where we are. Your dad may require surgery. Will you truly desert us at this point?" I inhaled deeply before uttering the words I had been wishing to say for years. Yes, in fact. Yes, I am. All my life you emotionally abandoned me. You just thought of me as Emily's shadow and your fallback option. Now that Emily is refusing to assist, you turn to me. No, I will no longer be your last option. Starting with, "But we're family," my father said. No, I cut in. We're not. Since you determined that Emily was the only child deserving of your love, we have not been family. I'm finished. Never get in touch with me again. After hanging up, I blocked their numbers once more. I then texted Emily one last time, saying, "They're also your parents. Try it yourself." The days that followed were extremely difficult. I would always have these moments where I would doubt my choice. Was I being too severe? Despite all, should I still assist them? But every time those thoughts surfaced, I was reminded of how they had treated me throughout my life and how they had only ever contacted me when they wanted something. Yesterday, Uncle Greg gave another call. He attempted to guilt-trip me by claiming that my parents required physical therapy and surgery since their health was deteriorating. He said they might lose everything and that they were discussing remortgaging their home. The problem is that I have no responsibility for their financial difficulties. They made their decisions. They decided to give Emily preference. They decided to squander the money I left them. They decided to allow their insurance to expire. They are currently dealing with the fallout from their decisions. Some may accuse me of being heartless. Perhaps I am. But I've been striving to be good enough and win their love my entire life, and I'm done. I am no longer the fallback option. When Emily refuses to take charge, I'm done being the one who has to make all the repairs. For the first time in my life, I'm choosing myself, even though I realize this makes me seem callous. My mental well-being is more important to me than their guilt trips. My financial stability is more important to me than their shoddy preparation. Reddit. I know I previously questioned whether I was the jerk for cutting them off, but I need to know if I'm the jerk for not helping them pay their medical costs. This one even seems unclear to my therapist. While I feel bad about it, I also think that this is just another instance of them only wanting me around when they need me. And believe me, the narrative doesn't end here. The situation is going to become considerably more intricate. Update 2. My life took yet another drastic change 3 days ago. I was enjoying a peaceful evening at home after a very demanding workday during which we had completed preparations for the opening of our new office. My doorbell rang at precisely 8:07 p.m. when I was studying some project paperwork, enjoying a glass of pricey red wine, a minor luxury I now permit myself, and some classical music playing softly in the background. I hadn't ordered anything and most of my friends normally text before coming over, so I wasn't expecting anyone. I froze, staring through the peephole. Emily was standing there looking like the affluent trophy wife she had become, complete with a fashionable gown, flawless makeup, and a $15,000 Hermes Birkin purse in her hand. I was aware of the irony. That bag alone could have paid for a sizable amount of our parents' medical expenses. I briefly thought about acting as though I wasn't home, but throughout the previous few weeks, I had undergone a transformation. I was no longer the person who squirmed around Emily. She had intimidated me for too long, and I had allowed her to win. No more. I opened the door with my cool, controlled and slightly dismissive corporate boardroom demeanor. Leaning against the doorframe, I remarked, "Well, if it isn't my dear sister. What brings you to my humble abode?" Without waiting for an invitation, she swept by me and entered my apartment. Emily's usual behavior. Her gaze swept across my living area, taking in the original artwork on the walls, the contemporary furnishings, and the floor-to-ceiling windows that overlook the city. I could picture her mentally listing everything, most likely contrasting it with her suburban McMansion. She said, "Nice place," in a tone that suggested the exact opposite. Very cozy. She used the word cozy with that special emphasis that affluent people give to something they think is beneath them. Stop wasting your time, Emily. Why have you come here? She turned to me, adjusting her scarf, an anxious habit from childhood. Mom and Dad are deteriorating. Mom's physical treatment isn't covered by their payment plan, and Dad needs emergency surgery for internal bleeding they missed at first. Unless they can provide proof of payment, the hospital threatens to suspend treatment. They are discussing selling the house. I saw her knuckles whiten as she gripped her fancy purse more tightly. Emily in her classic form. She was clearly preparing for something. And that's my problem because... I arched an eyebrow, purposefully imitating her patronizing tone from our early years. Because you can help them, she said, her immaculate exterior beginning to falter. I am aware that your business went public. I checked the pricing of the stocks. I conducted research. You've got the cash. That made me giggle. The sound, which was perhaps rougher than I intended, reverberated off the walls of my flat. Oh, you have been monitoring me? How intriguing. Before using my inheritance to pay for your wedding, did you do this much research? Or prior to your own refusal to assist them? In all this, where is your wealthy husband? Emily's face turned red, another vivid memory from my early years. Her dramatic outbursts, which always ended with our parents comforting her, were always preceded by that flush when we were little. That's different, she stammered as her poise continued to falter. I now have a new family. I have obligations. Consider stepchildren. We each have our own financial plans, James and I. When a family situation arises, I can't just throw money at it. Can't just what? With a strong voice, I interrupted her. Can't you simply assist your parents, who have given you everything? Who paid for your wedding with my inheritance? Who prioritizes you the most? Who didn't attend my college graduation to assist you with your apartment move? Those parents. She waved her hand dismissively and said, that's ancient history. But I saw that she stepped back. This is roughly right now. You're being selfish, and they need help. Her use of the word selfish was the last straw. A lifetime of repressed rage and bitterness abruptly solidified into a chilly, unambiguous goal. I went silently to my home office, picked up my laptop and a few papers off my desk, and then went back to the living room. Emily, would you like to discuss money? Let's have a conversation. I rotated the screen of my portfolio dashboard in her direction. Look at these figures. My stock options are these. I'll explain it to you in words you can comprehend. This is more valuable than James, your husband, will be in 3 years. That home of which you're so proud. If I wanted to, I could pay cash for it tomorrow. As she gazed at the numbers, her face turned white instead of crimson. I went on, bringing up papers such as my investment portfolio, my pay stubs, and the most recent offers I had gotten from rival businesses. But you're a tech worker. For the first time I could recall, she stumbled, you're just a programmer. Her voice was small. Emily, I'm now a senior development director. I was making something for myself while you and your wealthy husband were playing home. I also did it without treading on anyone else, unlike you. I clicked firmly to shut down my laptop. Without using any of my resources, I could assist Mom and Dad by covering their medical expenses. However, I won't. She murmured, you're being cruel. But I could see that she realized that her younger sister had outwitted her. No, it is terrible to stand by and do nothing while your sister is ignored her entire life. Without asking, cruel is stealing her inheritance. Cruel only shows up at her door when you're in need. I approached the door and pulled it open. Are we finished here? Don't return? Clutching her pricey purse like a shield, she stood there. She made one final attempt to say, you'll regret this, but her voice lacked the assurance it usually possessed. When they lose everything. My only regret is that I didn't cut you all off sooner. Emily, goodbye. I poured myself another glass of wine after she left, a $200 bottle I had been putting away for a special occasion, and this one felt like it, and then I went out to my balcony. In front of me, the city lights were a tapestry of freedom and opportunity. I felt totally free for the first time in my life. No more living in Emily's shadow, no more feeling guilty, no more looking for approval. My phone was inundated with notifications the following morning. Apparently, Emily had spent the night phoning every member of the family she could get through to tell them how I had changed, how prosperity had made me callous and uncaring, and how I was leaving the family when they needed me most. Uncle Greg wrote me a very long mail on karma and family responsibilities. In response, I shared a comprehensive folder with the family group chat. It included scanned copies of my inheritance documents, bank statements that revealed how my money was used for Emily's wedding, Text messages from Emily stating that she would not assist with the medical bills despite her affluent lifestyle, and a breakdown of my current net worth that showed exactly how much I could contribute if I so desired. After that, the family conversation became very silent. Our cousin Angela was the only one to reply, "Holy, you actually did it, didn't you? In fact, you were successful on your own." I worked on my future plans over the course of the following few days. In another state, I accepted the promotion, which came with a bigger package of stock options and a substantial rise. The real estate agent believes my apartment will sell for a lot more than I'm asking for in this neighborhood, so I put it up for sale. I've already begun searching for real estate in my new city. This time, perhaps a penthouse. Emily sent me one last text last night, which said, "Mom's crying every night because of you." I commented, "She had years to cry about how she treated me," and included a screenshot of my inheritance paperwork in my response. Her tears are no longer effective. After that, I blocked her number and all of my other family contacts. Closing the last chapter of a book I should have finished years ago was how it felt. You have been amazing during this journey, Reddit. Your encouragement made it clear to me that I wasn't alone in my feelings and that it's acceptable to put oneself above harmful family members. Your remarks served as a constant reminder of my decision-making process whenever I had second thoughts. Recently, I received a message questioning if achieving financial success was worth sacrificing my family. The truth is, though, that I didn't lose any. Folks who never treated me like family in the first place were folks I broke free from. My achievement just gave me the courage to refuse their treatment. It didn't change who I am. I want to express my gratitude to everyone who told me similar stories, gave me advice, or just confirmed how I felt. When I most needed strength, you gave it to me. I will begin looking for a home in my new city next week. A new life, a new career, and a new home. For the first time, I'm looking forward to the future without being constrained by obligations to my family. Aida. To some, perhaps. However, I've come to the crucial realization that sometimes being branded an asshole by toxic individuals is a sign that you're finally advocating for yourself. Reddit, thank you. I was able to discover my value and voice thanks to you. My family treated me unfairly, favoring my twin. In the end, she used lies and manipulation to steal my fiancé. Life has a tendency of catching you off guard, don't you think? I, 35F, never imagined that I would be here, sharing my heart on Reddit at the age of 35. The idea that my fiancé, the man I believed I would spend the rest of my life with, married my estranged twin sister after just a week of getting to know her, still baffles me. What brought me here? Everything's a lengthy and agonizing tale, but I must let everything out. I suppose I ought to begin at the beginning. To put it mildly, my twin sister and I have had a complex family dynamic for as long as I can remember. My sister was obviously the star child from a young age. You would assume that parents would treat twins equally, wouldn't they? False. In our family, my sister always came first and I came second. When we were young, it began with modest things. My sister always had the first choice when our parents bought us clothes or toys. She would always make the first choice, leaving me with anything she didn't like, even if the products were identical but different in color. I would be lectured about selfishness, how the gifts were the same anyway, and how acting entitled would make me never get far in life if I ever objected. The preference increased in intensity as we aged. I'll admit that I resented my sister for enjoying the attention and pampering. We were never close, and as we started middle school, our distance from one another only grew. She began hanging out with the cool kids, and distanced herself from our group of friends. I could at least have my buddies to myself and find some quiet at school, so in a way this was better for me. The distance between my sister and I continued to widen throughout middle and high school. By the time we graduated, our social networks and areas of interest had entirely changed. Because I would be interacting with her less, this worked for me. Although she continued to be cruel, particularly at school when she tried to appear cool to her peers, I had grown accustomed to her conduct by that point and was not particularly bothered by it. Things between us became so bad at the conclusion of high school that there was no turning back. I knew exactly what I wanted to accomplish with my life, so I put a lot of effort into my college applications. In addition, I wanted to stay up with my pals, who were all striving for top schools. Since I wasn't interested in finding out, I never inquired about my sister's essay preparation. However, for someone who wasn't ready or didn't seem to know what she wanted to do, she exuded far too much confidence in her admissions. I was devastated to learn that she was accepted to my ideal school, but I was not. Even though I was sad, I felt uneasy. I discovered, just in time, that she had stolen my work and turned it in as her own after doing some research. I was enraged. As usual, my parents would have told me to suck it up and that nothing could be done now, so I didn't want to inform them. I had had enough of being polite and being trampled. I made the decision to go nuclear. I sent the university an email outlining her plagiarism and proving that the material was actually mine. Additionally, I informed them of the circumstances at home and asked that they use caution when responding to her. They did, however, reply and put her on a blacklist after discovering that she had plagiarized during the application process. She sat stunned when she received the email and gave me such a hateful look that I thought I would pass out. However, she was unable to tell her parents anything. That she stole my essay. What could she have said? I was more than happy that she was finally receiving the credit she deserved, even though I knew I had put her in a difficult situation. I'll confess that it was stressful and, to me at least, a little funny. She was aware of my actions and I was aware of hers. She was unable to go because it would require her to acknowledge that she had stolen my work, and I didn't want to go to my parents for a resolution. Unfortunately for her, this injustice devastated her parents. They insisted that there was no plagiarism involved, and were resolved to bring it up with the university. It became messy at this point. When my parents emailed the institution, they received a thorough response regarding her application and the work, my work, from which she had stolen. I mistakenly thought that after they witnessed what their beloved daughter had done to me, they would finally accept her for who she truly was, and perhaps, just possibly, I would start to play a significant role in the family. The exact reverse was what took place. I spent days being scolded for intentionally destroying my sister's life and profession. They chose someone to harass as soon as they discovered that I was the one who had reported the plagiarism. She stole my work, but that didn't matter. The fact that she was at fault didn't matter. The fact that she prevented me from attending my ideal school didn't matter. The fact that I had exposed her without their knowledge was all that mattered. They called me all kinds of names and stated that talking to them about it would have been the right thing to do, after which they would have come up with a solution. I informed them that letting her leave without any consequences would have been their only option, and I would have been told to accept it and apply somewhere else. My home was a wreck and nobody wanted to hear my side of the story. It was now obvious that I would always be the fall guy and that my sister would never be held accountable for anything she did. I was just waiting for college, but the following few months were terrible. I knew that as soon as I left the house, I would never return. In any case, there was nothing to return to, so I did just that. I instantly stopped communicating with my sister and my parents after leaving for college. After her little incident, she was dead to me, and I had no intention of ever seeing her again. Going to college was a welcome adjustment. I worked hard, had a good life and made good friends. Determining to succeed on my own without assistance from my family, I immersed myself into my studies and extracurricular activities. I met around this period, and we remained friends for a few years. We had the same group of friends, even though he was my senior in college. He asked me to be his girlfriend just before he graduated, and I accepted. Since he was one of my best friends and I enjoyed spending time with him, I thought a relationship would be the natural next step. He informed me that he had been crushing on me for years and had been trying to have the guts to ask me out until I said yes. Sincerely, I thought this was cute and informed him that even if he had asked me sooner, I would have said yes. For what it's worth, our connection was good. We knew each other well because we were already close friends. A certain amount of ease and candor was present and it just happened. I also told him about my family's whole predicament. I clarified that nothing could ever force me to speak to my sister again and that I had very little contact with either of my parents. I requested that he honor that. His family is picture perfect, therefore he found it ridiculous that a family could be so dysfunctional. He is the eldest of 4 siblings, all of whom are supportive and close, and his parents are deeply in love. He has never experienced my ordeal. I liked and appreciated the familial dynamic he came from, and I respected that. The affection they had for one another was really sweet. I couldn't help but feel a little envious because I had never had it. But because he couldn't imagine dysfunctional families, I made it plain to him that he should never expect me to return to my family and attempt to make things right. I trusted him since he appeared fine with it. I had no idea that this would turn out to be my worst life decision. I concentrated on developing my career after college. I was resolved to show myself, and if I'm being completely honest, my family, that I could be successful without their help or connections. I put myself into my work and worked my way up the corporate ladder. I had a prosperous marketing career, a great downtown apartment and a circle of close friends who had become my adopted family by the time I was in my early 30s. We both decided to take things slowly, but Em and I kept dating. Neither of us felt the need to rush into marriage because we were both focused on our careers. I felt like I had at last found someone who understood and supported me, and the arrangement was comfortable. M proposed to me 2 years ago when I was 33. Yes, of course, I said. By that point we had been dating for about 8 years, and I was certain that he was the man I wanted to live my entire life with. His family welcomed me with wide arms when he first introduced me to them. Even though it wasn't biological, I felt like I had a family at last. I formed separate ties with each of his siblings, who were very hospitable, 2 sisters and 1 brother. Even before I married him, I felt like I was a member of the family. The next natural step was marriage, and I was quite content with my life and my relationship. Planning for the wedding, honeymoon, and other details took up the whole year prior to our planned wedding last year. It was a difficult period for our relationship as well as stressful, since I recognized then that we had differences and that it would take work to overcome them. Nevertheless, we voluntarily persevered. While deciding on the guest list, we got into one of our most heated arguments. He wanted to invite a large number of people, including his immediate relatives, some uncles, aunts, his siblings' partners, and others, but I wanted a small, private wedding. However, I didn't have any family members I wanted to invite. I informed him that I genuinely didn't want my family near me on my wedding day and that I would only be inviting my friends. He initially agreed, but I could tell he was hesitant. When I asked him if there was an issue, he said that there wasn't, so I dropped it. Nevertheless, he approached me a week later and advised me to invite my family since there would be no wedding without a family present. I gave him a wide-eyed look and informed him that I had always made it plain that my family was not involved in my life. There was no reason to be upset about my parents' absence because they were unaware that I was engaged and that the bride and groom were the only 2 guests required for a wedding. He refused to give up. He said that any arguments I had with them could be put aside for a single day and that his intention was only to invite them to the wedding, not to establish a romantic relationship or extend forgiveness. Any invitation, I informed him, would imply that I wanted to patch things up, and I didn't want to do that. I should have left him there. Looking back, I could tell that he had chosen to hurl this at me even though he claimed to understand my reality and my upbringing, which I had always been open about. But in love, I was a fool. I nearly stopped talking to him after our many arguments, but I knew deep down that we had to come to an agreement. He finally explained to me why he insisted on inviting my family after much back and forth. He claimed that he didn't want his relatives to believe that he was getting married to a woman who didn't get along well with her family. He believed that my parents' absence would reflect negatively on his family, which is highly traditional and has always lived by the family first motto. That was not what he wanted for me. I initially believed his way of thinking to be considerate and caring, but I soon came to see how flawed it was. Since his parents and siblings already knew that I didn't get along with mine, he was more concerned about the impression his family would get, particularly his extended family, than he was about the psychological effects on me. I should have seen that the show was more important to him than his wife. I paid the price for not doing so. I finally decided to phone my folks after much back and forth, but there was where I crossed the boundary. I informed him that while I would have them there, my sister and no other family members would be present. My family would not be permitted to speak, and there would be no father-daughter dance. He had to put himself in my shoes, and that was the only need for inviting them. Fortunately, he consented, and he was aware that he had little other option. Additionally, I cautioned him against reaching out to people on his own. I would only call and extend an invitation when I thought the time was appropriate. I knew they would make something up and convince my sister to go if I told them too soon, and I couldn't agree to that. To be honest, I also hoped that they might not be able to make it if I told them too late. In this manner, even though I would be technically correct, I would still get my way. I believe M had a suspicion, but even if he had, he remained silent. So that was that. 6 weeks before the wedding, I told my parents, and they assured me that the whole family will undoubtedly be present to support me on this wonderful day. I interrupted them immediately and informed them that my sister would not be attending my wedding in any way. I would take them out myself if they attempted to be cunning and brought her anyhow, even if just the 2 of them were invited. They attempted to object, claiming that it was the ideal moment for the family to get back together, that I should stop being a baby, that I had gotten my revenge, and that I should be content. Before the wedding, I informed them that this was the only way I would be contacting them. They were aware of the location and the time, and they could attend if they so desired. But I wouldn't think twice about taking the required action if they tried anything. I hung up the phone after that. I was completely mistaken to believe that was a strong enough warning to stop them from making any plans. I should have anticipated that my sister would show up there and cause chaos. She did create a mess, but it was far more extensive than I had anticipated. I need to get this off my chest. Yet as I sit here typing this, I can feel the hurt and rage rising within me once more. What happened next was a betrayal so profound and agonizing that it rocked the foundations of the life I had worked so hard to create, and I needed to tell someone, anyone, what happened next. In my upcoming update, I'll continue this. I need some time to gather my thoughts because writing it all at once hurts too much. I appreciate you reading this far. I had no idea that I would be telling my tale in this way, but here we are. I would be grateful to hear your opinions and advice. Right now, I feel completely lost. Update 1. A week has passed since my last post, and I'm still in shock about everything that transpired. We appreciate all of your encouraging messages and remarks. I never thought that strangers on the internet would be so generous. Where did I leave off then? Yes, the dreaded family invitation and the wedding planning. In case you're not convinced, things have gotten worse. My parents came into town via plane the week before the wedding. They asked if Em and I could meet at their hotel so they could give me something. Em persuaded me to go despite my reservations, suggesting that it might be a peace offering. He assured me that he would accompany me and that we would depart as soon as difficulty appeared. I felt sick to my stomach when we got to the motel. I sensed a problem as soon as we entered their room. My twin sister was seated on the bed, grinning smugly, and there she was. Just a few days before my wedding, my parents had ambushed us in the hopes of forcing a family reunion. I went cold. The old emotions of hurt, betrayal, and rage returned with a vengeance. Em put his hand on my back when he could tell I was upset, but it didn't help much. With her arms extended as though the past 15 years of separation didn't matter, my mother took a stand. We thought it was time to move on from the past, she remarked, her voice brimming with fake tenderness. Your sister wants to talk to you about something. My sister got up and began what seemed like a prepared statement before I could respond. I apologize for what happened with the college application, and I know I hurt you, she started. I've regretted that ever since I was foolish and young. I gave a sour laugh. Young and dim-witted? We weren't 8, we were 18. You were fully aware of what you were doing. My father added in a firm tone. Now, let's avoid bringing up previous points of contention. As a family, we are here to move forward. I looked to Em expecting him to support me and remind them of our wedding deal, but he was silent and had a serious look on his face. I trembled as I murmured, may we go now? After he paused, he said something that completely shocked me. Perhaps we ought to listen to them. After all, they are trying. I turned and left the room without saying another word. Trying to make sense of what had happened, I headed to the hotel bar and ordered a heavy drink. Hours went by. My phone was vibrating, and I chose to ignore the never-ending barrage of missed calls and messages. When I eventually returned to our flat, it was already midnight. Em was pacing the living room while she waited to wake up. Hours passed while we argued. Em insisted that I should at least attempt to make amends because family was vital. How he could be so oblivious to the suffering they had inflicted upon me was beyond me. We were clearly at a standstill as the night went on. I need some time, I responded at last. I'll be spending a few days with a friend. I must think. The days that followed were a haze. I ignored me and my family's calls and texts and stayed with my best pal. I needed time to reflect and determine my true desires. The more I considered it, the more I saw how deeply Em's actions had damaged my faith in him. I eventually consented to meet with Em 3 days prior to the wedding. A calm cafe where we had gone on our first date years prior served as a neutral setting for our meeting. I didn't miss the irony. Em appeared awful. He appeared to have aged years in a matter of days, and there were dark circles under his eyes. I was still angry and hurt, but I also felt bad for putting him through this. He started, "I'm sorry," as soon as I took a seat. "I ought not to have pressured you to make amends with your relatives. I was mistaken." Hours passed while we recapped past exchanges and upsetting experiences. Ultimately, we reached a decision that felt necessary but shattered my heart. Em whispered, "I think we need to postpone the wedding. We clearly have some issues we need to work through." With a mixture of relief and regret, I nodded. "I think that's for the best." We came away from the cafe with a rough plan. We would separate for a month, avoid communication, and give our desires some serious thought. We would then get together once more to determine whether to proceed with the wedding or, well, we didn't want to consider the other option. I began making calls the following day. I informed our vendors that the wedding would have to be postponed indefinitely. Although we lost some deposits, most were understanding. I communicated with our visitors by sending out a general email outlining the circumstances in ambiguous language. Then there was quiet. Like an unending desert, the month without communication stretched out in front of me. To distract myself from the uncertainties of my relationship, I immersed myself into my work and picked up new interests. I initially incessantly checked my phone, half hoping, partly expecting to find a message from M. However, I noticed that I was checking less and less as the days stretched into weeks. During our connection, I began to rediscover aspects of myself that I had previously allowed to slip away. I started painting again, got back in touch with old acquaintances, and even went to the beach for a weekend by myself. I experienced a mixture of dread and excitement as the month's end drew near. Another part of me, which was getting stronger every day, questioned if perhaps this separation was for the best, but I still wanted to see him again to see if we could salvage what we had. I received a call from an unknown number the day before our scheduled meeting. I heard a voice I hadn't heard in years when I responded. The shaky voice of my sister. "Please, don't get married to Emu." Suddenly, my world began to shift on its axis once more. However, that is a tale for a future update. I apologize for leaving you waiting, but I need time to think about what transpired next. I appreciate everyone listening and helping me get through this nightmare. I will return soon with additional details about the story. Update 2. My previous update was almost 11 months ago. I'm sorry for the extended silence, but I needed time to take it all in. I appreciate your support and patience, everyone. My estranged sister had just given me a startling phone call urging me not to marry M when I left off. From there, however, things only became more difficult. I met M the following day as scheduled after that enigmatic call. I knew something was seriously wrong the moment I laid eyes on him. He had black circles under his eyes and appeared gaunt. I was about to respond when he suddenly exclaimed, "I made a terrible mistake." My heart fell. My world was shattered by his next statement. With his voice hardly audible above a whisper, he admitted, I married your sister." I briefly believed I had misheard him. How was it possible for him to wed my sister? Only a month has passed since our separation. I experienced a wave of nausea as the reality set in. M then told me an absurd story that sounded like the storyline of a poorly written soap opera. My family apparently persuaded M to listen to them after I left that day. They told him stories about my early years, portraying my sister as the victim and myself as the troublemaker. What's the worst? He took them at face value. I felt offended and bewildered. Your family seemed so sincere and I thought maybe I didn't have the full picture. M attempted to clarify. I made a foolish choice. My sister and parents had hatched a complex scheme. To avoid being made fun of by his family, they proposed that M wed my sister for the ceremony. After the commotion subsided, they could have the marriage dissolved or divorced. Despite the absurdity of the proposition, M had somehow consented while he was confused and being manipulated. Stunned into stillness, I sat. I was so deeply and profoundly betrayed that I was at a loss for words to describe how angry and heartbroken I was. I got up at last. "I never want to see you again," I stated in a remarkably composed tone. "You, my sister, my parents. You're all dead to me now." The weeks that followed were a jumble of suffering, rage, and incredulity. Unable to face the world, I took a leave of absence from my job. Despite the support of my friends, I was distraught. During this depressing time, M's mother called me out of the blue. Something compelled me to answer the phone even though I didn't want to at first. "Please," she said in a tearful voice. "I must see you. You must be aware of something." I agreed to meet her against my better judgment. At a little park close to my place, we first met. Her eyes were red from sobbing, and she looked terrible. She disclosed the whole scope of what had happened. M had been duped by my family, who had played on his fears and fed him tales about my background. They had persuaded him that I was unstable and that I had fabricated tales about my family in the past. But why would he believe them over me? Still having trouble understanding, I asked. Tragically, she shook her head. He had a susceptible condition. Your relatives took advantage of the fact that your abrupt departure had unsettled him. She clarified that M's family had opposed the hurried union with my sister. Despite their attempts to dissuade him, M had carried out the plan while in a confused and manipulated state. "And now?" I inquired, fearing the response. "Your sister won't get a divorce from him. By threatening to demand a large amount of alimony if he attempts to leave her, she has been dragging the marriage along." However, the disclosures did not end there. She informed me that my sister had told them the truth about everything a few days prior while intoxicated. She acknowledged that all they had told him about me was false and that they had trapped him. She even came clean about the essay that had been taken all those years ago. Her words, "M has been devastated since then. He'd like to speak with you. He claims that he made the most significant error of his life and is unsure of how he would ever be able to apologize. Perhaps you can speak and decide what to do next, he hopes. With my head spinning from all this new knowledge, I gazed at her. I felt somewhat vindicated because the truth had finally surfaced. However, a greater portion of me was just worn out. Well, I answered in a stern tone. Thank you for sharing all of this with me, but Em and I are no longer a we. He decided. Regardless of their marital status, he is now my sister's husband. I refuse to interfere or assist him in getting out of this situation. When I said this, she sobbed and begged me to change my mind, but I refused. Telling her, my decision is final. I've moved on from that phase of my life. I'm unable to reopen those wounds. She texted me several times over the course of the following few days, urging me to speak with Em, but I didn't reply. All of this was too much for me to handle anymore. I thought a lot about everything that had happened, including the life I had nearly committed to, the man I thought I knew who had deceived me so profoundly, and the family that had never really welcomed me. And I came to the crucial realization that I was stronger than everything. At that moment, I decided to use my experience as a springboard rather than a setback. I had been granted another opportunity to live my life as I had always desired, free from the burdens of my past. With fresh energy, I pushed myself back into my work. In order to resolve my trust difficulties and the residual pain from my family's betrayal, I began therapy. I became closer to my pals and was even more grateful for the family I had chosen for myself. And what do you know, things improved. It wasn't always easy, and on some days I felt like the hurt and rage would get the better of me, but I gradually began to recover. I can state with confidence that I'm in a better place than I've ever been after 10 months. I've taken up new interests, gotten promoted at work, and even resumed dating, albeit informally and much more cautiously. Ever since that day in the park with Em's mother, I haven't heard from Em or my family. I'm thankful they're no longer in my life, but occasionally I wonder what happened to them. They are responsible for the repercussions of their own acts. I want all of you out there who may be experiencing anything similar to know that things get better. You are stronger than you realize, even though it may not feel like it right now. Never allow a friend, family member, or romantic partner to make you feel less valuable than you actually are. Once again, I want to thank everyone for their support along this trip. This is going to be my last update on the matter. This chapter of my life is coming to an end, and I'm looking forward to many more joyful ones. Cheers to fresh starts, selected families, and the inner strength we discover when we need it most. After discovering my stepmom's secret Reddit account, I learned she hates me and my siblings, and it's completely shattered our family. Original post July 17, 2024. I'm really pissed off and want to vent. I even cried reading the things she said and I don't know what to do. I don't need any advice, I just want to vent. My father has been married to my stepmother for 5 years. He has been divorced from my mother since my younger brother was 2 years old. There is no beef between them and they have a great co-parenting. I have a 17-year-old sister, a 16-year-old brother, and I'm 25. Then my father has a 3-year-old son with my stepmother. I found her Reddit account in a pretty random way. Since I'm only home on the weekends, I let her use my computer. She forgot to close her email. She doesn't post too much, but she comments too much. I was honestly going to close the email, but it caught my attention that all the replies were from step-parents subreddit, so curiosity won me over. I know, it's not a good thing to do, and curiosity killed the cat. The first thing I saw was her last post, in which she detailed things about my life in a random Reddit sub, criticizing my decisions and even lying to get people to support her. She has posts on that site talking about how happy she feels when my siblings are not at home. My sister adores her. But she has comments talking about how she can't wait for them to turn 18 and leave the house because she just wants to share the house with her family, my father and her toddler. It seems that she doesn't see us as her family. She has a lot of comments answering other people that it's totally okay to not love your stepchildren because they're not family and it's okay not to consider them one. She has comments talking about how much it bothers her when my dad and brother have sleepovers. They just watch a series in the playroom and then go to sleep, as she is tired of hearing the laughter of a teenager and can't wait until we all leave the house so my father can be with his real family. But what she hates the most is having to learn sign language for my little sister. It had always seemed strange to me that SM still struggles with sign language, but now I know that she never really put in the effort to learn. My sister always said that for many people sign language is very difficult, so I never said anything. But now I know that she always found stupid to learn how to communicate with my sister when my sister always tried to help her. I was too surprised by the hatred she has when my father spends time with me and my sister. Her jealousy towards us is so obvious that it disgusts me that there were so many people who told her how they feel the same way about their SDs. To the point of sexualizing things. My siblings are not problem children. They even love her very much, and what fills me with anger the most is that she is so false in front of us. Do you know the number of times I offered to babysit my stepbrother so she and my dad can go on a date? All those times she refused to let me take care of him, but now I saw comments that she left about how I am living at my father's house and I don't help her at all, only for other people to respond saying that she should give my father an ultimatum to make me leave because I'm too old to live with him and he has a new family. I cook my food, do my laundry, share a room with my sister, I help my father pay the bills while she doesn't, and only come home on the weekends because I'm doing a police academy Alsor full week. I don't even care if I'm making too obvious who I am. It was my father who told me to move back with him so that when I come back from the academy on Friday nights it will be a shorter trip. She sexualizes my interactions with my father, saying that it is not normal for me to sleep a nap hugging him and that I should know my place. He is my father. What the hell wrong with her? I'm so disgusted. Relevant comments. Grumble gal, this, show your father what she really thinks of you all. Because once you're all eventually out and she gets her wish, she's going to work double time to keep it that way and isolate him. Accurate neck. 6933. You won't get any inheritance. She will make sure of it. OOP, I don't think my father has anything to inherit to us. We all lose in that OOP on why she is in the police academy. OP, I live in a third world country. Half of my colleagues are women in vulnerable situations. The only way out they found was to get into the police because here you get free healthcare, education and money. Women who have left their children to walk forward in the only way they found. You demonstrate your privilege by criticizing and being judgmental about someone just because of their work without knowing everything behind it all. OOP on if she has had a relationship with her stepmom and if they have talked on a regular basis. OOP, honestly, I would have taken the time to sit down with her and chat about how she feels before I knew all of this. She's had years to adjust. But now? I don't give a shit about what feels a person who says I want to fuck my own father and that learning sign language is a waste of her time when my sister feels bad for not being able to communicate with her too much after years. Nothing. Nothing justifies being jealous of a daughter with her father. Nothing justifies her comments. It's one thing to say you're stressed and another to make up things on the internet about your stepdaughter. I deleted the post. July 17, 2024. Hi, I decided to delete the post because for now I can't tell anyone what happened because I'll basically be locked up in the academy until Friday morning. In fact, I shouldn't even be using my cell phone now. Someone with too much free time shared the situation in that sub of step-parents to warn my SM. I have screenshots of everything, including a video showing that it is her email and showing the comments. If she sees that post, what will she do? Delete the account? I already have the proof. But I don't want my siblings to find out before I tell them, and I know that those types of posts usually end up in those TikTok that re-upload posts without permission, so I prefer to delete the post so that it doesn't stand out even more. Although my siblings don't use Reddit or that kind of content. I'm going to post again in that sub when I talk about everything with my family, so I hope Redditors know how to keep the secret of the post for now. I know they won't, hahaha. Being a stepmom is hard. Yes, one thing is feeling that you're having a hard time, and another totally different thing is making a post saying that you hate it when your stepdaughter is around her father because you think she's going to *CK him, TF. It is not the same to say being a step-parent is stressful, than to say honestly learning SL is unnecessary. BC when the girl turns 18 I will not see her again. It is a waste of time since she can read lips. Also some people complained about me hugging my dad. I also take a nap hugging my mother or my siblings. I'm sorry for having a family that loves me and are not perverts who see a hug as something sexual. Probably next week I will be able to maybe give an update. The academy keeps me working almost all day. Comments elegant_crab_7500. Oh honey, my heart breaks for you. You do though, sound very mature and responsible. I have helped my sister raise my niece who is now 23 and is totally alienated from her dad, who left my sister for his now wife when my niece was only 10 months old. And step-family because her stepmom is much like yours but has done far worse things, but then in a narcissistic way blamed it on my sister and I. My niece acts very tough and nonchalant about it, but a good few months ago, we were watching Hope Floats, and she just burst into tears sobbing, "Why doesn't Dad love me? What did I do wrong?" There is no perfect outcome for this sadly, but I do feel that she needs to know that you know, and so do your mom and siblings. If possible, do it in a calm, factual way that protects your integrity. From my experience, do not respond and/or mirror or act like her. Always maintain your dignity and equilibrium in spite of what people here might say. Always maintain the upper hand. My sister and I did not, and sadly reacted to a lot of what my niece's stepmom did with rage. She, as any good narcissist, would in turn use this against us. I talked with my siblings and my mom, July 20th, 2024. Hi, for now I'm going to post this little update here since I haven't spoken to my father yet, but I spoke with my siblings and mom. I told my dad that I was staying at a friend's house when I left the academy, but I actually went to my mom's house and told her everything. She doesn't even know what Reddit is. That site isn't used too much here. But I translated the comments and posts for her. I showed her the videos and my mom was furious. I explained to her that in the comments it's Madre Biologica. I was confused about it too the first time I read that, also with SM. So my SM also made comments and posts complaining about my mother being that they have always had a cordial treatment. But still my SM was lying saying that my mother was troublesome. No one in the comments said anything. Everyone supported her and they recommended that she should move far away with her legal family. Far away from the problematic and kids. First we told my brother, who was also upset and said that she was a fake, but that he has seen her ignore my sister and pretend that she does not see or hear her a lot of times. He explained that like me it also seems strange to him that SM has not yet learned sign language. My siblings spend a lot of time at my father's house. Just like English or Spanish, sign language is much easier to learn if you live with someone who uses it every day, therefore it is strange that SM doesn't use it. He said that even my father has offered to pay for her classes, but she says she doesn't have time. We asked him if he noticed any other behavior of that kind, and he said that SM doesn't let him take care of our younger brother, which she also does with me, but curiously she does let our sister take care of him, so I don't understand that. Other than that, she's never treated him badly or anything like that. At the time of telling my sister she was the most hurt, she cried especially because of SM's comments towards me calling me a whore. It's kind of ironic how the comments towards her affected me and the comments towards me affected her. Haha. Something that my sister noticed that I didn't is that almost all of SM's comments are criticizing me, my sister and even my mother, but my brother she has only criticized sleepovers or when he comes back late from being with his friends. But she has criticized my and my sister's clothes, made up things about my life, confessed that she hates it when we hug our father, she said we're too clingy. She talked badly about my mother, etc. My sister said it's sexist and maybe she's got some mental problem. My sister said she always believed SM didn't really hear her and she maybe wasn't speaking well and didn't understand her. I think that's the shittiest thing of all. My sister's greatest pride is being able to pronounce some words no matter how short they are or if they sound like noise for some people. We understand her, but SM made her feel insecure every time she ignored her. I know that my sister always justified that by believing that it was her mistake and that SM made an effort to learn, but it was simply more difficult for her. But now we know that no, she was never interested in learning. I'm getting mad again as I write this, sorry. My mother said she was going to talk to both of them, mainly because even though it's an anonymous site, SM's way of expressing herself is sick and she's not going to let my siblings be around someone like that. Oh, but she's venting, being a stepmom is lonely. I received comments like that. It's not the same to say I feel lonely and I feel stressed, than to say my stepdaughter behaves like a slut, just because me and my minor sister uses a bikini for the pool. Her account is old. She's been leaving comments like that for years. With lies, with complaints we never heard before. It's just messed up. We arranged that we're going to tell our father all together and show him everything, so we're probably going to tell him tomorrow because I need to leave for the academy on Monday. My SM account has not been deleted. It's crazy how she makes things up to get approval from strangers. At this point I don't even know if she's crazy or a mythomaniac. I would like to go back to her email since the password is saved, but I don't know if she will receive a notification of that because this time I closed the account. Update, July 22nd, 2024. We talked to my father over the weekend. For now he is staying at my mother's house. It is a complicated situation since in the middle of everything is my half-sibling too. During the weekend I went to my father's house and the first thing I did was tell my stepmom separately that I've seen her Reddit account and I'm going to talk about it with my dad. She told me that I can't condemn her for something she uses as an intimate diary, but I told her that this is not a diary. It is a social network where she makes her problems and lies public. If someone other than me discovered her account, then what was going to happen? Were they going to believe all the things she invented? If her identity was revealed on that account by someone else, I would have too many problems and could even be kicked out of the academy. Again, there's a big difference between saying I'm stressed and my stepdaughters behave like sluts around their father. I simply told her that my mother and sister also know it and would come to talk about it too. She for obvious reasons just went to lock herself in her room not wanting to talk with me. Once we talked to my father I showed him most of the posts and comments. There were so many crazy comments that I think it would take me too long to read them all because they were just so long too. She's that kind of people who comments the bio of their lives in the posts of other people. My father got angry. My SM never expressed having a single problem with us like that. The situation would be different if we knew what she thinks about us. My father went to look for my SM, who refused to talk about it and was mostly angry with me for violating her privacy. My father told her that she's insane for thinking that my sister and I sexually provoked him, that he can't believe the way she talks about my sister and the happiness she expresses every time my sister goes to the hospital and is not home. How she expresses to be counting the days until my sibling stops going to the house forever. My father told her that she knew that he is a father and that he would never leave us aside. She made her decision, and even so, instead of talking about her problems, she decided to create an account to play at being a victim. She said she needs a place to vent, but he told her that venting is not the same as telling lies. Venting is not the same as hating your stepdaughters and talking horrible things about them, and she could have spoken about it and not just lied. They argued a lot, but it didn't get anywhere because she kept defending herself, and my father only told her that it was over. My mother told my father that she is not going to let my sister and brother be around a woman who is clearly mentally unstable because no normal person thinks like that. After arguing too much and even trying to make SM understand that what she did is wrong, she just justified herself all the time. My father went with us and told her that he is going to come back just to see my brother every day, but that he no longer trusts her and never saw that side of her. She lied for so many years. Nothing really went as I expected. I think I at least hoped that she could apologize, but I think she doesn't even think that what she did is wrong. In her mind, everything was totally justified because being a stepmother is difficult, but nothing justifies her being so cruel and poisonous. But yeah, that's what happened. I think it's hurtful to know that someone can hide that much darkness inside. I wasn't too close with her, but I liked her, to the point of sharing my clothes and things with her, so I also feel sad about it. Mostly for my dad. Me gustaría simplemente decir que ella está demente, pero creo que eso daría espacio a justificar su comportamiento. Ella simplemente es una víbora de dos cabezas. Editor's note. Translation. I would like to just say that she is insane, but I think that would give room to justify her behavior. She is simply a two-headed viper. Relevant comments. Not so religious now. Is her account still up, or did she delete everything? She's absolutely insane and a narcissist if she can't see that what she did was wrong. I hope it all works out for you guys. Stay strong. OOP. The last time I looked, it was still there. I have her email password saved on my computer, so if she doesn't delete it, I'll tell my sister to do it for me. Some people told me that they have recognized some of her comments, so yes, I will delete the account if she doesn't de-kill the messenger one. Wow, just wow. You think you know someone and then 1 second, bam, I am so sorry you and your family are dealing with this. SM is off her rocker. Does she need constant attention and approval? She needs therapy and most likely the whole family, because this is a traumatic event and major trust issues are now forming. Stay well, stay strong. OP, new updates. Little tiny update. August 25th, 2024. 1 month later. Hello. It's been a while and I honestly forgot to make an update. Not many things have happened, but I just want to update for people who were worried. My younger brother has been visiting us. Our father still lives at my mother's house. Luckily, my stepmom lets my dad bring him home some days of the week and on weekends. I deleted her account weeks ago. She didn't tell me anything about it, or if she saw any TikTok or post about this. Maybe now she's afraid to use Reddit or something like that. I only deleted the posts, but there were too many comments and I honestly didn't want to waste my time deleting them one by one. I'm not sure if comments are automatically deleted with the account as well. I'm not going to talk too much about her and my father's relationship, but she continues to deny that she did anything wrong and has a very misogynistic way of thinking about women, and apparently she does not intend to change her way of thinking. It's too crazy how now we know her dark side, but at the same time she's still her with my little brother and even my father. My father is separated from her for now because he doesn't have money to pay for the divorce. She said that if they come back together she will not let me enter her house after what I did, so my father decided to stop trying with her. I have no idea what legal arrangement they have on the house or what will happen when they divorce, but I guess my father is going to leave the house to her and he's going to find another place to rent in order for my younger brother to suffer as little stress as possible from a separation. For a toddler, moving is a lot of anxiety, so it's better for him to stay comfortable in his place. I wouldn't have any problem with that, and neither would my siblings. I prefer my brother to have a home and suffer as little as possible from the separation. So yes, that has happened. I'm surprised that a month has passed. I feel like it's been 7 years, but these kinds of serious processes last month, so nothing interesting or anything like that has happened. For now, I'm glad my little brother can be with us. Update 2, October 5th, 2024, 1.5 months later. Hello, it's been a while since I last posted here. I just wanted to give one last update before leaving this for a few months since things like divorces take a lot of time and long processes, much more so when minors are involved. If my father and SM agree on everything, the divorce process can be finished in 3 months, but if not, it can last up to a year. It all depends on them. This will probably be a pretty boring update, but I want to reassure people who are worried about me and my siblings. My father has screenshots of everything, even the video of me entering her stepmom account from her email on my computer. I don't think it will do much good during divorce since internet laws are a gray area here, but it's always better for him to have that just in case. Needless to say, SM will be in maybe 3 months, if everything goes well, officially only my little brother's mother and no more my SM. Luckily she lets my little brother come to my mother's house and spend time with my father and us as always. He comes almost every day of the week. My father is going to leave the house to her so that the divorce will be the least stressful for my brother. At one point my father wanted to ask her to let me stay there on the weekends when I come back from the academy, but I told him not to do that. Honestly, I'm afraid to wake up and find her on the end of the bed looking at me like misery. I don't want to share a house with her at all. The only and last time I had a conversation with SM again, I asked her if she wasn't ashamed of anything and she totally ignored me. I think the most affected by this was my sister, who feels she has suffered discrimination from our stepmother, and I honestly believe her. My sister has told us about some situations that she let go of but now realizes were micro-discriminatory behaviors against her. Although they were not things like making fun of her in front of her face, there are microaggressions that we often decide to ignore, but they are done with malice. For example, my brother said that SM once said that my father's sons salen bien del horno. At the time he took it as a random comment. Maybe we are overthinking. But now he thinks it was something with double intention towards me and my sister, like saying that we didn't come out well. Again, things we like to ignore and think, nah, it was just a random comment. She has never apologized. She has the kind of mentality that the husband is only the wife's man and the partner comes before the children, which in my opinion is bullshit because she's only jealous of me and my sister. Imagine being jealous of your husband's daughters. SM strongly believes that she didn't do anything wrong except not to have written that in a secret diary. At least she now admits that. Maybe in 10 years she will realize everything else. My father, for obvious reasons, has gotten tired of trying to talk to her in a mature way, so they are going to divorce, and I guess she expected it because she didn't make any fuss nor anything like that. Divorces are a long and expensive process, so for now my parents, and SM too, at least she's a good mother to her own son, are focusing on not letting my younger brother feel those chaotic vibes, and my parents are taking care to not let my sister feel too bad either. They will go for joint custody since my father could not take care of my little brother 24/7 because of his work, and anyway they would not give him to him since he does not have a house or all the things that the courts ask for. I think the least affected by all this is my other brother, who is in dad, she's a bitch. Just find another girlfriend mode, but I guess that's how teenagers are. Anyway, there were people who found some of the posts or even comments which surprised me, lol. I've also been getting harassment from people from that sub, but know that I've already deleted the account. Congratulations to those who found the account. My wife and the mother of our 3 kids is cheating on me, and she thinks I don't know. What should I do now? Original post. I don't even know how to start all of this. I feel like I will faint. I have been married to my wife for 9 years, together 11. We are both from Europe, but not from the same country, and currently live in Asia. We have lived in Asia for the last 10 years, but in this country we are living for the last 8. We have 3 kids, M8, M6, F3. My wife has not worked since our first son was born. I have permanent residence in the country where we live, and she and my kids are allowed by the law to stay with me even though they are not citizens and she is not working. Marriage is in my eyes pretty good. We had some fights in these 9 years, but nothing special. I work 5 days per week from 8 a.m. till 4 p.m. She never told me she feels lonely, or not loved or bored. She has her routine. Oldest son goes to school, my younger son goes to preschool, and my daughter goes to kindergarten. She drives them every day to school and picks them after. Makes lunch and waits for me. We would go on vacations, trips, holidays, dates every weekend. I have never ever thought she is doing something behind my back. We also have an open phone policy, but I don't remember when I checked her phone before all of this. I don't think I've used it 5 times in my life. This Wednesday I came to our house and parked the car outside. I don't think she heard me. But I heard her talking with someone about how she misses that person and can't wait to see it this week. I don't know if she heard me or saw my car, but literally 5 seconds after she said that, she hung up the call. I asked her who that was and she said it's one of her friends who is currently on the trip. To be fair, I didn't suspect it was AP. I know, I am an idiot, but I couldn't imagine that. Also, that friend was really on the trip, which I know. But the things were off. She was trying that day too much. She was always nice and was in a good mood, but that day everything was a little bit too much. I had a really weird feeling, but I said I will wait until the next day, and I'm probably making things up in my head. I came to work on Thursday and was just asking myself, am I paranoid or what? It bothered me why she ended the call immediately when I was in the house if that was her friend. During the day I called her and asked where she was. She said she was in the house, but I heard noises around her. I seriously thought she was cheating on me. I left work and jumped in the car and went to my house. It's about a 30-minute drive. When I came, she was not there. I called her again and wanted to ask her again where she was, but didn't want to look suspicious, so I asked her if she could look at some things in the house. And while she was on the call, she was saying she is checking those things. I knew then that she was cheating. I came home and she was lovely as always. Wanted to go out with me and the kids later. I seriously don't know how I remained calm then and how I didn't kick her out immediately. And I pretended the rest of the day that I was just tired. Yesterday I told everything to my best friend. He was furious when I was waiting and that I should confront her right away. But I didn't have any evidence. I said I will look at her phone and laptop when she goes to sleep. When I came home, she was behaving well. We even had sex. I think if I stay under the shower for 10 months it will not be enough. I wasn't in the mood and she asked me if everything was okay, and I said it's just too much stress at work. She hugged me and went to sleep saying everything is okay. During the night I checked her phone. I don't know if she was that stupid or so sure I won't see messages, but she didn't delete anything. They were hidden, but not deleted. I had about 30, 40 minutes to look because she woke up. AP is some kid. I mean, technically not a kid, but he is younger than me. I would say 23, 27. I checked his IG and he is apparently some fuckboy. He follows 80% girls. Tattoos, jewelry, muscles, and he is white. So he is not a local guy. To be honest, he is attractive. I can't lie, attractive enough for her to ruin marriage and family. By his name I would say he is from Europe also, but I'm not sure. He seems to have a lot of cash. I don't know if he is some daddy's boy or what, but I can see he has 2 supercars, travels the world and posts pictures from going to parties weekly. They were physical at least 4, 5 times. She sent him so many nudes almost all during the morning when she was alone and without kids near her. It seems this is going on for about a month. I have no idea how they meet. She was going out last month sometimes, as she would say, on girls' nights. And I never checked her. Probably then somewhere. She was initiating meetings and conversations almost every time. He either doesn't like her enough or acts like he doesn't care, so I think she feels that and tries a lot. They had sex 2 times during the evening when she told me she was with her friend, and the rest of the time in the morning at his place. When I was in the house 2 days before, she wasn't with him but wanted to be, but he said he was busy and she was already in the city. I said to myself I will not say anything to her. We woke up today. I wasn't working. She wanted to spend time with me, but I was in my home office most of the day thinking, how TF can this happen to me? I went out tonight for dinner with my best friend and showed him everything. To be honest, I have no idea what to do right now. I will definitely divorce her. OFC, I will contact a lawyer tomorrow. Now it is late night here, even though it's Sunday. My biggest problem is that we live in a foreign country. On a different continent. I have a feeling if we divorce she will go back to her country with kids. I can't allow that. House, both cars are all in my name and paid by me. We have a significant amount in the joint account. I have my own bank account where I have savings. She doesn't have her own account. I also have 1 house and 1 property in my country that my grandparents gave me during our marriage. It's in my name. Now what to do? I can't stand near her anymore. I want to confront her. Do I confront or talk with AP? Maybe he has a wife, doubt it. Do I kick her out of the house or do I leave? Obviously if we don't have kids everything would be easier, but I love my kids more than anything and I will fight for them staying here. I will also make a DNA test even though I'm pretty sure they are mine, but you never know. Good Lord, I can't believe what I'm writing. Anyway, any advice is more than welcomed. I only said this to my best friend. I am too embarrassed to say this to anyone else. I plan to confront her today, Sunday. Thank you. Update 1. Hi everyone. A lot of you asked me for the update. There is some very good and some not very good news. First of all, I want to clarify some things. I received many messages and comments about this. My wife is both from Europe, not from the same country. We are 11 years together, 9 years married. We met in my country. Then after a year of relationship I received a job offer in Asia. She went with me. But since we weren't married, she couldn't get a proper visa. She didn't work at that time. My wife and the mother of our 3 kids is cheating on me, and she thinks I don't know. What should I do now? Original post. I don't even know how to start all of this. I feel like I will faint. I have been married to my wife for 9 years, together 11. We are both from Europe, but not from the same country, and currently live in Asia. We have lived in Asia for the last 10 years, but in this country we are living for the last 8. We have 3 kids. M8, M6, F3. My wife has not worked since our first son was born. I have permanent residence in the country where we live, and she and my kids are allowed by the law to stay with me even though they are not citizens and she is not working. Marriage is in my eyes pretty good. We had some fights in these 9 years, but nothing special. I work 5 days per week from 8 a.m. till 4 p.m. She never told me she feels lonely, or not loved or bored. She has her routine. Oldest son goes to school, my younger son goes to preschool, and my daughter goes to kindergarten. She drives them every day to school and picks them after. Makes lunch and waits for me. We would go on vacations, trips, holidays. Dates every weekend. I have never ever thought she is doing something behind my back. We also have an open phone policy, but I don't remember when I checked her phone before all of this. I don't think I've used it 5 times in my life. This Wednesday I came to our house and parked the car outside. I don't think she heard me. But I heard her talking with someone about how she misses that person and can't wait to see it this week. I don't know if she heard me or saw my car, but literally 5 seconds after she said that, she hung up the call. I asked her who that was and she said it's one of her friends who is currently on the trip. To be fair, I didn't suspect it was AP. I know, I am an idiot, but I couldn't imagine that. Also, that friend was really on the trip, which I know. But the things were off. She was trying that day too much. She was always nice and was in a good mood, but that day everything was a little bit too much. I had a really weird feeling, but I said I will wait until the next day, and I'm probably making things up in my head. I came to work on Thursday and was just asking myself, am I paranoid or what? It bothered me why she ended the call immediately when I was in the house if that was her friend. During the day I called her and asked where she was. She said she was in the house, but I heard noises around her. I seriously thought she was cheating on me. I left work and jumped in the car and went to my house. It's about a 30-minute drive. When I came, she was not there. I called her again and wanted to ask her again where she was, but didn't want to look suspicious, so I asked her if she could look at some things in the house. And while she was on the call, she was saying she is checking those things. I knew then that she was cheating. I came home and she was lovely as always. Wanted to go out with me and the kids later. I seriously don't know how I remained calm then and how I didn't kick her out immediately. And I pretended the rest of the day that I was just tired. Yesterday I told everything to my best friend. He was furious when I was waiting and that I should confront her right away. But I didn't have any evidence. I said I will look at her phone and laptop when she goes to sleep. When I came home she was behaving well. We even had sex. I think if I stay under the shower for 10 months it will not be enough. I wasn't in the mood and she asked me if everything was okay and I said it's just too much stress at work. She hugged me and went to sleep saying everything is okay. During the night I checked her phone. I don't know if she was that stupid or so sure I won't see messages, but she didn't delete anything. They were hidden, but not deleted. I had about 30, 40 minutes to look because she woke up. AP is some kid. I mean, technically not a kid, but he is younger than me. I would say 23, 27. I checked his IG and he is apparently some fuckboy. He follows 80% girls. Tattoos, jewelry, muscles, and he is white. So he is not a local guy. To be honest, he is attractive. I can't lie, attractive enough for her to ruin marriage and family. By his name I would say he is from Europe also, but I'm not sure. He seems to have a lot of cash. I don't know if he is some daddy's boy or what, but I can see he has 2 supercars, travels the world and posts pictures from going to parties weekly. They were physical at least 4, 5 times. She sent him so many nudes almost all during the morning when she was alone and without kids near her. It seems this is going on for about a month. I have no idea how they meet. She was going out last month sometimes, as she would say, on girls' nights. And I never checked her. Probably then somewhere. She was initiating meetings and conversations almost every time. He either doesn't like her enough or acts like he doesn't care, so I think she feels that and tries a lot. They had sex 2 times during the evening when she told me she was with her friend, and the rest of the time in the morning at his place. When I was in the house 2 days before, she wasn't with him but wanted to be, but he said he was busy and she was already in the city. I said to myself I will not say anything to her. We woke up today. I wasn't working. She wanted to spend time with me, but I was in my home office most of the day thinking, how TF can this happen to me? I went out tonight for dinner with my best friend and showed him everything. To be honest, I have no idea what to do right now. I will definitely divorce her. OFC, I will contact a lawyer tomorrow. Now it is late night here, even though it's Sunday. My biggest problem is that we live in a foreign country. On a different continent. I have a feeling if we divorce, she will go back to her country with kids. I can't allow that. House, both cars are all in my name and paid by me. We have a significant amount in the joint account. I have my own bank account where I have savings. She doesn't have her own account. I also have one house and one property in my country that my grandparents gave me during our marriage. It's in my name. Now what to do? I can't stand near her anymore. I want to confront her. Do I confront or talk with AP? Maybe he has a wife, doubt it. Do I kick her out of the house or do I leave? Obviously, if we don't have kids, everything would be easier, but I love my kids more than anything and I will fight for them staying here. I will also make a DNA test, even though I'm pretty sure they are mine, but you never know. Good Lord, I can't believe what I'm writing. Anyway, any advice is more than welcomed. I only said this to my best friend. I am too embarrassed to say this to anyone else. I plan to confront her today, Sunday. Thank you. Update 1. Hi everyone. A lot of you asked me for the update. There is some very good and some not very good news. First of all, I want to clarify some things. I received many messages and comments about this. My wife is both from Europe, not from the same country. We are 11 years together, 9 years married. We met in my country. Then after a year of relationship, I received a job offer in Asia. She went with me. But since we weren't married, she couldn't get a proper visa. She didn't work at that time. She was flying out and flying back in the country and she was on a tourist visa. About a year after we moved to Asia, we married there. And then a year after she married me, we moved to another country in Asia where we have lived for the last 8 years. So 10 years in total in Asia. I lived first 2 in one country where we had a wedding. Last 8 years in the country where we are currently. A lot of you asked me where exactly AP lives. I am not sure if AP lives here the whole year or not, but I think he does. It's a huge city and there are a lot of foreigners here, and his apartment is in a downtown area where there are a lot of foreigners. Also, a lot of you asked me to give her another chance and go on the MC because of kids. I respect your opinions and everyone is different. Someone can forgive a 10 years affair, someone can't forgive innocent texting with an unknown man. I don't forgive something like this. I don't know what needs to happen for me to consider R with her. If I was a bad husband, if I didn't take care of her, if our sex life was dead. If she ever told me she is not happy, I would at least understand why she did that. But it is quite the opposite. Sex life 4-5 times per week. She is always smiling and literally since I know her says she is happy. We always spend time together. She never avoids me or becomes angry at me. So yeah, my answer is no. Only if my kids beg me and suffer so much I might live with her for some time, but I will never ever touch her again. I called the lawyer here today. Told him I really want to meet him and I can pay more since it's a Sunday and I assume it's his free time. Lawyer was really nice on the phone and we met after lunch. I showed him and explained everything to him. The news are this: all the assets I have here are completely mine. She doesn't have any rights on that currently. She is on a spousal, family visa here, doesn't work, not a citizen, while I have permanent residency. Since everything has been paid by me and everything is on my name, I am the owner of everything. All the money in the bank is mine. He advised me to take all the money from the joint account and transfer it to another bank account where she doesn't have access. Joint account is in my name, but she has credit debit cards and uses it daily for everything for the house/kids/her. So technically she doesn't have any right on that money. Cars are the same story because they are all in my name and paid for by me with clear evidence that I paid for it. The bad news are about the most important thing: kids. Since, I repeat again, she is on the spousal visa, if we divorce she can't stay here anymore. She needs to find a job or be on a tourist visa. She can't use tourist visas forever and sooner or later someone at the immigration will stop her and deny her entry. My kids can stay with me on the family visa. Things become very tough right here about divorce. Basically 4 countries are involved. 2 home countries, the country where we married each other and the country where we are now. If we divorce in Asia, there are big chances I will be the primary custody parent. At worst we will share the custody. But if we divorce in Europe, I am basically fucked. And most likely I will have to return if I want to be near my kids. He also told me about the idea that I offer her some assets or money to make a deal that kids stay in Asia with me, but I doubt she would accept that. If I kick her out of the house and the police get involved, I won't have problems. Since I have proof I am the father, even if the police get involved, kids will stay at my house. Passports are safe and she doesn't know where I hid them. Lawyer told me to make DNA tests for the kids and to not leave the house so my wife can stay with them. I will do DNA tests tomorrow. In the meantime, he will start making everything about the divorce. After we get results from the DNA test, she will be served. All in all, a very tough and complex situation, but I will fight. I also talked with a lawyer from my home country. He told me if my wife somehow takes the kids from me and goes back to Europe while we are still not divorced, I need to file the report with the police immediately in the country where we live and more importantly in my home country. Since both of our home countries are in the European Union, laws are very similar. If she does that, the police will be at her door very soon. So that's good. I didn't confront her. She was actually mad at me most of the day because I went out to meet the lawyer and I spent time in my home office, and according to her, this is the day for us. I seriously don't know how I can contain myself to not tell her anything. She spent the last 2 days at home. Probably she waits tomorrow to call the AP. She behaves well. An hour later, she apologized to me for her being angry at me today and tried to kiss me. I am trying everything to avoid her as much as possible. Hopefully, I will go to bed when she is already asleep. Tomorrow I will make DNA tests for all the kids. Lawyer told me he will call me with all details for the best options for the divorce. I will ask for some free days at work, and after that I will confront her in April. Lawyer told me to record everything he says. Thank you so much for your messages and comments. Your advice helped me a lot. Thank you once again. Update 2. First of all, I want to say something. I am reading all of your comments, or most of them. What some of you can write is just pure craziness. Stop putting your own words and stories in my mouth. I have never ever said I want to see my wife out of the country where we live right now. If there is one person in the world that wants her to stay here, that's me then. Because that means my kids are staying. I will offer her the best deal that will allow her to stay here, but that deal includes divorce. If she rejects it, then we will fight for custody. I am not the one who should fight for her future. I didn't do shit to her. According to some of you, I should go back to Europe, in her country. I've been there 4 times in my life. I have to leave everything I have built in Asia so I could see my kids 3 days per week while I didn't do anything. She did. She cheated on me and I should destroy everything I have so she could be in the nice spot. Because I am the father and she is cheating the mother. Or even better, I should not divorce her so she can stay here because she was cheating and doesn't know how to keep her legs closed, and I need to suffer and never meet anyone else in my life. Brilliant logic. Maybe she can find the job here and stay in the country legally and with the kids that have everything. Huh, that's also not okay? Poor her, she needs to work. Some of you said she gave up on her career because of me and kids. Again, you're making stories without knowing anything. She didn't give up on anything. I was the one telling her if she wants to work, she finished only high school, she can, and I will hire the nanny. But she didn't want to because she probably needed time for her AP. I am not forcing her out of the country. Immigration will force her if we divorce and she doesn't have a job. That's normal in every country. I am not above the law. She can find a job and stay with the kids because the best for kids is to stay here. She should do everything to be near kids. In the end, I love our kids more than she does because I didn't ruin our family. She did. Not to mention my kids don't know anyone in her country except her family. Don't speak her language and have friends and go to school, kindergarten here. Well, if you ever experience something like this in your life, you can use your logic. I will stick with mine. So to conclude this rant, I will offer her the deal with the kids staying here. She stays here but not with me. If she rejects it, we go to court and we will see what the judge will say. I also never said if we divorce she will not get anything. She will, but not as much as she would get in Europe, and I honestly don't care if I lose money, house or whatever if my kids stay here. I could transfer ownership of my house on my brother, cars, send all the money as a gift loan to him or to my parents like my lawyer told me to do if I want to keep everything after the divorce, because at this moment she is not entitled at anything before the divorce since she doesn't even have residency status here, let alone citizenship, and everything is in my name. So I can do that before I file for the divorce and she will get huge nothing here. But I am not doing that. I will earn that money back in a few years max, but my kids are forever. Now news and long updates. Yesterday I had long talks with my lawyer. He will make everything so we can divorce here where we live. It will be a tough process, but we are ready. He also gave me the contact of the lawyer in the country where we married each other. That lawyer told me that according to everything I told him, I'm in a great position. So I am literally building 2 cases if I need to. I need to divorce in Asia, not in Europe. If I divorce in the country where we live or where we married each other, there are huge chances kids will stay with me. EU courts have zero rights or jurisdiction here, so if she ever thinks to send kids in Europe with her, she can only dream. The court, according to my lawyers, would keep kids here because 2 of 3 my kids are already in the school. Spent whole life here. I am working. She doesn't. I have house, financial power for their good life and residency status. My wife could ask for the appeal in her own country where she would have bigger chances, but that process could go for years, and I can delay it also in the multiple ways, and my kids would not be allowed to leave the country where we are without me allowing that. So that's great. I sent all the details about the house, cars and bank accounts to my lawyer, and he is building the case. Also, I agreed with him that we make a deal for her. She can keep the house and car, but I will be the primary custody parent. Or I keep the house and I will pay for the place where she can live and we share the custody. Anything else I don't accept. When I came back home from work, she was waiting for me with the kids. Again, she looked good. We went out as a family during the evening. I had a great time with the kids. I couldn't stand her. When we came home, she tried to initiate sex, but I politely refused. She was laughing while talking about some nice moments in our past most of the night in bed, so I had to ask myself if she was completely out of her mind. Today she drove our kids to school and kindergarten before I left the house. I took all the papers I needed, suit, some clothes, and left. I decided yesterday that I will not confront her directly because of the kids. They are always near us and I don't want them to have trauma because of this. While I was at work, she was texting me about plans for us tonight. I was acting like everything was fine because I thought she might come to my work if I confronted her already, and that would cause me huge problems at my work. When she texted me at 3 p.m. that the kids are home and that they are all eating, I knew that's the moment. I finished the job shortly after. I left her some money on the joint, mine, but she has access account, and took everything else to my other bank account. I sent her the text at 4:05 p.m. The funniest thing, with all the evidence I have, I still can't believe this is the reality. 11 years. I want to tell you so many things right now, but I am so disgusted by you that I just want this to end as soon as possible. You made your choice. Now I am making mine. You can stay tonight. Tomorrow, after the kids leave for school, I want you to see out of my house. Don't try to do something stupid with the kids. You will just have bigger problems. I am ready for every scenario. My lawyers are ready. Be normal and we can end this in the most normal way. Everything else will just put you in the worst position possible. In the end, I can't say I want you all the best, but if your best is away from me, then I want you all the best. Don't call me, and I repeat, don't do something stupid, because I will not tolerate that. My lawyer will contact you about the kids immediately when you leave my house. You can meet and be with them every day, but you are not allowed to enter my property after everything you did. P.S. You look good in those nudes pictures you sent to AP. She was online when I sent her the message but didn't respond or call for the next 20 minutes. I wish I could see her face during those 20 minutes. During those 20 minutes I called the AP. He rejected the call and sent the message asking who it was. I called again and he answered. I told him that I will not do anything to him. I just want normal talk, and if he has any human decency he will meet with me wherever and whenever he wants. Whole day I thought he would reject the possible meeting, but he apologized to me and asked me where I was. I explained to him, he told me where he was, and we decided to meet at 5:30 p.m. in a bar near his flat. When my wife started to call me, I put the phone in airplane mode. AP was waiting for me. I saw that he was looking at me from 10 m away at least. I was audio recording the meeting. OFC, he knew how I look. I mean, my wife has pictures with me on her IG and us as a profile picture on WhatsApp and Line. What a lovely wife. He immediately asked me if he said everything, and after that I could ask him whatever I wanted. I told him he can, but after he says everything about him. He's 26 years old. He is from one country in Europe, as I assumed. He doesn't have any GF or wife. No kids. He lives here the whole year and just enjoys his life. He looks good. He is an attractive young guy and seems like someone who only wants to bang girls. Then he started to talk about how he met my wife. They were in one restaurant club in the early August. He was with friends, she was with friends. I knew about this because she asked me if she would go out with her friends. After some time they all started to sit together. They talked a little bit. He told his IG when some of wife's friends asked. He says she wasn't flirty that day. He saw her ring and assumed she was married and didn't want anything. He showed me messages with her from other apps that I didn't know to see. She started to talk a little, and after that they talked more and more. She said she loves me but that I have cheated on her. I've never looked, let alone touched, another woman since I met her. Before a month, and that is her revenge. When I saw that, I wanted to vomit. She was saying this before or after the first time they were physical. He told me they had sex 4 times, 1 round. Whenever they would meet, she would be nervous after the sex and would always say this is wrong, and she would leave shortly after. He was confused with her behavior and even texted her to not meet anymore. According to him, she cried last time and said this is over and that she made the worst mistakes in her life. She loves me, and even though I cheated on her, this is not okay. She wrote to him that she liked the attention and that he picked her even though she is 9 years older before some single friends of her, but that she doesn't have any emotional love for him, but she has for me. Lucky me. Last Thursday, when I came into the house in the middle of the work to catch her and found the empty house and caught her lying to me, she called him to meet. This guy actually told me with a straight face that he wanted to have sex with her that day. I mean, he has balls. He was busy somewhere and she was waiting for him in the lobby of the building where he lives. He thought she came because of sex, but according to him, she rejected him and told him they were done. She told him to not call her anymore and that she will never stop regretting everything that she did. She also asked him to not say a thing to anyone. He showed me messages after the meeting where she said almost the same thing because he was confused, so he asked her again if she's sure. She blocked him after that on everything and never called again. Probably she deleted all these messages because I didn't see those messages on her phone. Did she forget to delete those hidden messages I actually saw? I have no idea. I don't know if he is lying, but I don't think he does. He doesn't have any reason to defend her because he actually said a lot of bad things about her and gave me every evidence I needed. He showed me literally every message. He said about every disgusting detail. He even told me one of my wife's friends knew about them. So he told me basically more than I wanted. While we were talking, my wife called him. He showed me and asked me if I wanted him to answer. I told him to not answer. She started to send him messages and voice messages. Some of the quoted messages are voice messages where she screamed like a lunatic. Her, where is he? Why did you tell him? I hate it, you destroyed my life, where is he? Him, what are you talking about? Why are you attacking me when you lied to me? And him. Her, how does he know? He left me. You destroyed me. I told you we are over, why did you do this? Where is he? I am trying to find him. Him. I didn't tell him anything. I didn't do anything. You are married. Her, I made mistakes, but I don't love you. I love my husband. I don't love you. I never loved anyone except him. I made the worst mistake in my life. I never liked you except for fun. I wish I never met you. Him, I really don't care who you love, but why did you lie to me? Her, I didn't lie about anything. I really love my husband and he left me now. I don't want to live, he left me. Him, I am not talking about that. You lied, he cheated on you, and that's why you are doing this. How many guys have you been behind his back saying the same thing you told me? Her, with 0. You are the first and last, and I can't believe I did this. You told him and destroyed me because I don't want to have anything to do with you anymore. Him, I don't give a damn what you want or not. I didn't tell him anything. Answer my question. Her, you told him, you're a horrible human being. Him, answer the question. Her, what question? Him, why did you lie he cheated on you? Her, because I am an idiot and liked the attention and lost control, and now I lost everything. How does he know about this if you didn't tell him? Him, I didn't say anything and I need to go. Her, how do you know I lied about him if you didn't talk? I know you told him everything. I hate you. You destroyed me. Him, again, I didn't tell him anything, but I hope he will not forgive you. She blocked him after this. I was just looking at him for 2 minutes without saying anything. I was close to starting to cry. He was apologizing like crazy and said if he knew that she is happily married he wouldn't do anything. He says I don't need to believe him, but that's the truth. He told me he doesn't want anything with her and never planned. Also, he sent me SS of all their messages immediately so I can have it during the divorce process. He asked me what I want to do with her in the marriage. I told him everything and he wished me and my kids best of luck and asked me if she called him or sent him any message. Do I want him to tell me? I said I wanted to. He told me if I need anything I can call him. We even shook hands. If someone told me before a week that I will DNA test my 3 kids and shake hands with my wife's lover, I would think I am high, but this is my life. In the end, it's not his fault. I didn't marry him. I sent the audio recording of the meeting and SS of their messages to my lawyer and talked with him a little bit. He told me with everything AP said and messages that he sent me, it would increase even more my chances during the divorce. Now, I am in the hotel. I didn't block my wife. She sent me a billion messages and called me at least 100 times. Even my friends called me asking where I was because my wife told them we had a huge fight and I left the house. In the morning when my kids leave for school kindergarten I will confront her eyes and eyes, and then in the afternoon I will DNA test kids. I took some free days from work this week so I have time. That's it. I know some of you will tell me I shouldn't do this and that, but I'm trying my best. It's much easier to give advice from the phone than actually living this shit and going through a roller coaster of emotions. This is by far my worst period in my life, and I have been through some really shitty situations during my life. I don't know if I will update. Probably I will put in another sub or at my profile, but if I don't, just be smarter than I was. Thank you all and take care. Update 3. I will post here because I don't have time to deal with the trolls. Hey guys, a lot of you asked me for the update. I am really busy these days, but a lot of things have happened, so let me share because strangely enough I find writing about this very therapeutic. Okay, so my last update was when I was at the hotel. During that night my wife's best friend called me and said she will be near her with the kids. Me and her have a great relationship and she is in my eyes by far her best friend. She called me on Wednesday early in the morning that she is driving my kids for the school because my wife can't stop crying. I jumped in the car, picked my friend, Witness, and we came to my house. Honestly, I can say it was much easier than I expected to kick her out. Yeah, it wasn't the fastest process, 2 HRs, but at the end she left without police being involved. She cried, begged for forgiveness, she would explain everything to me, everything. She screamed, begged again, didn't listen to her friend, my lawyer. I even told her if she doesn't leave I will call the police and do everything in my power to deport her. Again, she didn't want to leave. She just wanted to talk with me. Then I just said to myself that I will lie to her. I told her to leave if she loves me so I can have space, and that I will call her today when I think a little bit about everything. I just wanted her to see out of my property. She left with some clothes shortly after. Since then she has lived with her best friend. During the day I did most of the things I needed. Changed the locks at the house and at the gates of the property. Cut her off from everything that is on my name and she uses. I hired the babysitter Melody. On Monday I talked with my coworker, female. She also has younger kids and she recommended me to Melody. Melody doesn't work for her anymore because my coworker's husband is now working from home, so they don't need her anymore. Melody is really nice. She is also from Asia, speaks great English and local language. She drives, cooks, cleans, CV is good, no criminal record, so I agreed that she works for me. I also tested my kids and myself for STDs. My kids asked me after school where my wife is. I told them we will be separated for now. They had some questions. I told them if they wanted to talk or see her just let me know. Both of my sons said it's okay, and that was that. They met Melody and they looked normal around her. My wife called me the whole day and again sent so many messages. Then on Thursday I had another chaos with her. I drove my kids to school and my daughter to kindergarten. I came back home. I was doing some things on the PC, Melody was doing chores, and then I had a call from the school where both of my sons go. The principal called me and said my wife wanted to see my older son during the class and that security stopped her. She made the scene and said to her that she didn't see her kids for 2 days. Again, I jumped immediately in the car. I needed at least 30 minutes to get there. During those 30 minutes the principal called me again and said she talked with my wife again and that she and a psychologist in the school contacted Child Protective Service, CPS, because apparently that's the law where we live. It's not, in these situations. When I came to the school my wife again wanted me to talk to her. Begged, cried, same all. All of that in front of people from the school. They explained to me that my wife told them she didn't see kids for 2 days and is scared. Then one woman arrived from the CPS. She started to attack me immediately. How can I just steal kids from their mom? I was shocked. She was accusing me like I am some kind of drug dealer. To be honest, my wife did defend me in front of them. She said I didn't steal kids and I didn't forbid her to do anything, but she wanted to see them now because I kicked her out of the house. She just wants to come back in the house, will do anything blah blah blah. When she said that, that woman from the CPS and the principal attacked me again. They even suggested my wife to call the police because they assumed I kicked her out without anything and that I was aggressive. When I heard that I had enough, I called the lawyer immediately. He was busy but told me he will come and not speak with them. I was waiting for him and didn't say a word. My wife explained to everyone what happened in our lives. She was more or less honest and again she said she will do this and that, I need to forgive her, she loves me, blah blah blah. While she was saying that literally everyone gave her support. I was just speechless. Then when she tried to hug me or kiss I pushed her away and this woman from the CPS said that I have clear signs of an abuser. I was so close to saying a lot of things but again I didn't say anything. My wife told her that's not true and that I have never ever raised my voice, let alone hand it to her, and it's her fault, but she loves me and can't live without me. Before my lawyer came, another woman from CPS arrived and she was the same as the first one. I am the worst, I am horrible, my wife is sweet and innocent. Whatever. My lawyer came and he was furious with them. He showed all the details about me. About my wife. Mostly immigration details. He said she doesn't work, doesn't have a place to live, might be deported and is mentally unstable and is not the right person to be around my kids. He told them about some articles in the law that they can't do this and that this is against the law. While he was speaking, my wife realized he is my divorce lawyer and started to attack him on how he can be so cruel and without heart. The principal told her and me to leave the office while they were talking inside. We were in the hallway. Again she cries, tries to talk with me. I was just looking at the security guy who was 100% laughing inside himself with what kind of lunatic I needed to deal with. The principal left the office and went to bring my kids. My older son asked me what was going on. I just told him to answer what they asked him and that's it. After maybe 3 minutes, the principal called us to come into the office. That first cow from the CPS said the kids said everything and that they have the most important details. I asked them what details and she said both of my sons said they want to stay with me and that they enjoy being with me. They repeated the same in front of me and my wife. My wife for the 100th time started to cry again. My older son even moved a little bit so she couldn't hug him. They left after that. These women from CPS said me and my wife need to make a deal for the kids. I said we will after I solve everything that I need. And then she gave me a paper and told me to sign. It was in the local language, so I needed a little bit of time to read all of that, so my lawyer took that paper and told me to not sign. They wanted me to sign that so they have legal grounds to visit my home every week uninvited to see how I'm doing with the kids. My lawyer attacked them that they are doing this for their bonuses and that they don't have any legal right to ask me to sign this and that they can call whoever they want. They said they will contact their supervisors and that the police will probably contact me. I left immediately. No one contacted me still. My wife stormed after me and begged me again to talk. I just drove off. When my kids came home, I talked with them about everything what happened. They told me they heard my wife in the Tuesday when I sent her that message how she cries and begs me to listen to her, so they know it's her fault. Smart little kids. I drove them to football practice. My daughter was with Melody. She likes her a lot. My sons even helped Melody to clean after they ate and they wouldn't do that with my wife, so I think deep down they know they need to behave as best as possible and help me during this time. Again, my wife calls me 24/7. I think she should be in the Guinness World Records for the most calls made and messages sent. Today was a much better day. Everything in the school was good. My daughter stayed at home because they have a free day today. Melody is making her hair. They sing. They are a great duo for now. My wife's friend called me in the afternoon saying that my wife wants to see kids. I told her it's okay. They arrived and my wife immediately saw I changed the gates. My daughter was very happy to see her. Wife was crying when she saw her. She was waiting for my sons. And both of them told her they don't want to be with her now. I told them to talk a little bit with her because she was crying literally on the street, but they refused and went into their bedroom and later to play with their friends on the street. I told her to leave and she begged me again to give her a chance to tell me everything. I told her that she needs to wait to talk with me until I receive DNA tests. She put my daughter on the ground and just looked at me for 10 seconds completely frozen. Honestly, I thought at those moments kids are not mine. She was shocked and said kids are mine and she can't believe I'm saying this. I really think this was the moment when she finally realized what she did. She told me again that the kids are mine and she jumped in the car. I talked a little bit with her friend and I could see my wife was crying like crazy. They left after that. My wife's friend brought my daughter back. She said my wife locked herself in the bedroom. She called her parents to confess everything and she is in a state of shock that I've tested our kids. Kids are mine. She never looked at anyone during the marriage except AP. My wife told her friend that she can't believe what she did and that she knows now she lost everything when I did the DNA test because that's very extreme and she thinks I don't trust her anything. Her parents called me tonight. To say they are furious is understatement. Her mom begged me to not cut the contact between them and my kids. I said they can always call them and come here but that I will not allow my kids to leave Asia before we divorce. She is fine with that and thanked me. Her father told me she is not welcome anymore in their home. They are disgusted she could do something like this and he told her to not call them anymore. They are very conservative, 40 plus years in the marriage, so this was kinda expected. Her older brother told me the same. That he blocked her and that he is disgusted that she is his sister. They all gave me full support and told me to inform them about everything. They FaceTimed a little bit with my kids and they had a good time. That's about that. Hopefully the weekend will be much easier. I am very tired. Mentally but physically also. We are going to watch a football game with my friend's family and hopefully my wife will give me some peace. Since I told her about DNA tests she didn't call me anymore, so that's at least something good. I am waiting for the DNA results. My younger son has 7th birthday next Saturday, so that will also be one huge pain in the ass to be around my wife, but it is what it is. Thank you for your advice and nice words. Update 4. Hello. Yes, I am the father. I mean, I knew 99% of the kids were mine, but you never know. In the end, I thought my wife was a loyal woman, but she isn't. I can say I can breathe with the full lungs finally. Now everything is easier. When I received the results today, I was so scared to read it. I needed to take 10 minutes before I actually saw the results. Damn, if someone told me this will be my life. But here we are. I started to work again today. Melody is taking care of everything. My friend and his wife are there to help her. She sent me pictures of my kids when she drove them from the school and when they were eating. She is really good and kids love her. Well, these last 5 days were really tough mentally, so let me start. Weekend, my wife didn't call me at all since I told her about DNA tests. She was still sending me messages but didn't call. Her friend told me she looks like shit and behaves like she has a mental breakdown. She would send me about 30 messages per day, before it was 150, 200 at least. Mostly were something like this. Good morning, have a great day, I am so sorry for everything, please call me if you have any desire. I am so proud of you how you are taking care of everything. I can't express how sorry I am for everything. I wish I never went out that night, I wish I told you immediately. She would sometimes change the words, but the context would be the same. And she would send me some pictures of us and kids from the past, from the vacations, us all being on the couch, in the restaurants, etc. I have to say that until yesterday she would just FaceTime with my daughter, sons still refuse, every day, but she didn't come to pick her up. IDKY, but as her friend says she just doesn't seem normal right now. Well, my brother called me in the Saturday. I didn't tell him or anyone in my family what was going on. Whenever they would call to see my kids, me and my wife, I would have some excuse why my wife isn't near me. I knew she didn't tell them. Until she actually did. So my brother called me and he told me she confessed everything. He was shocked and couldn't believe it. He thought we were joking with him. Yes, people, with all the evidence still no one can believe. I think people would rather believe she became president of the USA than this. That's how shocking and how big betrayal this is. My brother's wife is very close to my wife. After she heard about all of this, she cut every contact with her. My brother did the same. At first I thought she did it because of me, to show me support even though as I said they are really close. But no, she did it also because she is also disgusted by her and doesn't want to see a person like her around my brother, her husband. I actually laughed at this, but I appreciated the support. So my wife lost one of the last people she could call. My brother told me they will try to come to see me soon, so I'm glad. Then my parents called me. My wife also told them everything. My father supports every decision I make and he tells me just to do the best for me and the kids. On the other hand, my mother tells me I should forgive my wife because she is human and did the mistake. She is remorseful, ready to do anything, and one mistake should not be enough to forget on 11 years of love and 3 kids she gave me. I told her immediately that it wasn't one mistake, but 4 mistakes in 1 month duration. Her answer was, you should ask yourself why she does that. Was everything okay with you two? I hung up immediately. I love my mom. After kids, she is by far the most important person in my life and I would do everything for her. She saved my life when I was younger and had so many problems. If she wasn't my mother, I would be in the grave or on the street, and she is my guardian angel. But I just can't believe she could say something like that. Then my father attacked her. Why is she defending cheaters? My mother apologized immediately. She just thinks about what is best for my kids, and told me whatever I decide she also supports. I didn't have enough energy to talk anymore. Wife's parents and her brother still don't talk with her and actually told me that they will call her friend to tell her that they will send the remaining stuff she has in her own country to her and that she is not allowed to enter their house anymore. If we forget all of this, the weekend was actually really good. We went with my friend's family to watch a football game. Went shopping. The kids were laughing and smiling. That's what is most important. Now, another chaos with my wife. You remember how I told you she stopped calling me? It didn't last long. I need to add a little bit of context here. My first assistant at work for the last 15, 16 months is Sarah, 29. She is a great worker, professional, very smart and kind person. But she is also really attractive, and since she moved here and since she works with me, also single. I told my wife about her before she started to work with me. My previous assistant was a guy. She was okay with that, nothing special, until she saw how she looks and that she is single. Then she became cautious. Irony, huh? Sarah would sometimes send me messages during the night, 9 p.m., and always about work, but she would wish me good night, as my wife would say, in a weird way, and my wife would be very angry and insecure about that. Irony, huh? 2.0. Then she would sometimes come to my workplace with the kids without calling me. I didn't have any problem with that, since she would do this also before when I didn't work with Sarah, but now she was doing this firstly to see how me and Sarah would react. Anyway, with time her jealousy decreased because I assured her nothing was going on. But she was concerned about her intentions, and she would say she can see Sarah is eating me with the eyes, and my wife never liked her and was really cold whenever they two would be near each other. This Monday we had a really important event in our company. Sarah and I have always been in contact since I took days off from work. I told her it's about personal reasons and she wished me all the best. I didn't want to go to that event, but eventually they told me to come. I asked Sarah if she wanted me to pick her up. I know how this sounds, but I have my reasons why I asked her. Event was in the hall in the different part of the city, and I literally needed to drive near her apartment complex to come there. She doesn't drive. I never picked her up before because of my wife. She was working extra since I am at home, and she was doing basically my job for free and never said a thing. In the end, I don't need to explain anything to my wife. I can pick up 10000 girls now if I want. I picked her up, we talked, came to the event, we were on the same dinner table with 6 more people. I drove her back home, she wished me good night. I did the same and went home. Melody was there, I wished her good night. My kids were sleeping and I went into my bedroom. And then I went to see messages on WhatsApp. I turned off all notifications from Viber, Line, WhatsApp, Telegram, because my phone is melting when my wife starts with her calls and messages. And there I saw a lot of messages from my wife and her friend. I checked messages from her friend, and basically she told me my wife is going crazy and having a mental breakdown because someone told her that me and Sarah were really close and enjoying time together at that event. I asked her immediately who told her that, and she told me she can't tell me. My wife was saying how I changed her for younger. Irony, huh? 3.0. Smarter and more attractive model. How my kids were going to have young stepmom who will be with me the whole day because we work together and are very likely already together. I just started to laugh and said that I don't have time for this nonsense. If there is one thing that I really don't care about now and is not on my mind, then it is having any relationship with any woman now. Even if I did something and I didn't, I don't owe her shit. I was loyal more than 11 years to her, and to be honest, I had much more situations where girls were approaching me thinking I'm single than guys looking approaching her, and she fucked up, not me. I went under the shower and I was just asking myself who told her this. My wife is not close to anyone from my work. She doesn't talk with anyone. The only person that knows about my situation from work is my female coworker that recommended me Melody. She is really close to me and she had horrible things to say about my wife after I told her everything, and she didn't say anything to anyone 100%. I just said to myself, someone from work that doesn't like me sent her message, probably from the burner account, and that's it. I called Sarah and told her we need to see each other tomorrow. And yesterday we went for coffee and I told her everything about my wife. She was shocked that someone could say something like that. I told her everything because of a few reasons. I expected my wife to call her and have another lunatic episode. Luckily she didn't. I wouldn't lose my job at all if this is even true between us, but I don't want someone to tell complete lies about me. Also, why would anyone lie about her? She is sleeping with her boss and that's why she has a job. And also I didn't want to hear any rumor that my infidelity is the reason for my divorce and that possibly can ruin my chances during divorce process. She told me she will tell me if she hears anything, and today when I returned to the job everything was perfect. My wife started to call me again every 5 minutes. She constantly cries, begs for a new chance. She will do everything, whatever I want. She came yesterday to see kids. My sons were at football practice, but she took our daughter. When she brought our daughter back, she tried to ask me a few questions about Sarah, but I left immediately. I don't need to explain myself to her at all. But the thing I do notice about her is that she definitely lost some weight. Her friend tells me my wife refuses to eat, and bags under her eyes look like she is a crackhead. On Friday my younger son turned 7, but he will celebrate on Saturday with his friends and other kids in our house. My wife will be there, and her being around me for a few hours is one huge disaster in the making, but I will try to stay calm because of my kids. On Sunday I plan to confront her one-on-one about DNA results and offer her a deal about her future, so I will update after that probably. I promised myself this won't be long, but it is long. Sorry guys, apparently I am not capable of making a long story short. Thank you for your nice messages and comments like always, and take care. Update 5. Hi everyone. I said I will update after I speak with my wife on Sunday about everything, but I actually already did it, or maybe did it. It will be a long post, so feel free to skip it. If no one reads it, I'm okay. I feel better when I write this because I'm feeling the worst ever, so at least I can vent here. On Thursday, my wife called me to ask if she could take our daughter for a sleepover. Our daughter doesn't go to the kindergarten on Fridays, so she is free. I told her she can. She came, and again she tried a little talk with me, but I didn't want anything. She wanted to talk, but I told her to leave. But she asked me if she could talk a little bit with our younger son since he will turn 7 tomorrow. I called him and he came. He was standing away from her, but he was listening to her. She told him how she already bought him gifts and how much she loves him. Eventually she hugged him and kissed him, but he didn't respond. He literally didn't say a word and just left while she was standing there. My older son still refuses to see her, let alone talk with her. She left with our daughter and promised they will be back by 5 p.m. tomorrow. So in about 24 hours they will be together. She was sending me a lot of pictures of how they are making pancakes, sleeping together and playing together. And also sent me so many messages saying how she regrets this is not happening with all 5 of us right now. Yesterday, Friday, my son became a grown man. My older son congratulated him. He was really happy and in a good mood. I drove them to school and went to work. While I was working, my wife called me again asking if she could spend the afternoon and evening with our son and daughter. She assumed older son would refuse. Again, I said she can. She was texting me through the day that she planned everything, and I know she was excited. They will go eat, then they will go to the amusement park, they will drive go-kart, then go on ice creams. I liked everything. To be honest, my younger son in my eyes suffers the most with this situation. While my daughter is very young and unaware of anything and sees her mother a lot, and my older son is very clear that he doesn't want to have contact with my wife, the younger son is very quiet and looks very confused. So I like the idea of them 3 spending time together. I specifically told her to not enter the house and wait for me because I need to talk with him first and I need to see his reaction. I don't want to force him on anything. She agreed and told me she will wait for me. I had to stay a little bit more at the workplace, and my friend and his wife were waiting for me in my house so they could go with me to buy everything I needed for the birthday. Food, drinks, cakes, gifts. I texted my wife and told her I left my workplace a little bit late and that there is big traffic in the city, so I will be late. She told me she is close to my house but she will wait for me. I called my friend and told him that my wife is coming. I also called Melody to prepare other clothes for my daughter and asked her what my sons are doing. Everything that happened after that I didn't see. Melody, a friend, and his wife told me this, and I believe them 100%. My wife arrived with her friend and our daughter. Apparently my daughter invited her to the house to show her something, according to my wife's friend. My friend and his wife with my sons were inside of the house then. Melody was in the backyard and stopped her from entering the house. My wife started to fight with Melody. Who is she to forbid her to enter the house with her daughter? Friend's wife heard the noise and went out. Friend's wife and my wife were friends, but she doesn't talk with her anymore after I told her what happened. She told her to calm down and to respect my decision. Wife was much more calm and kind towards the friend's wife than she was with Melody. My daughter was then calling her again from the door to come, and they again stopped her from entering the house. My wife's friend told her to wait for me in the street. And then my older son stormed out of the house. Started to yell at her that no one loves her, to get out of here, that we are happy without her and daddy is happy without you, and that everyone hates her. She started to cry and begged him to talk with her, but he was yelling like crazy at her. She left the gifts for my younger son and went with her friend in the car. Then my older son took those gifts and threw them on the street while they were in the car. My friend then put him in the house. According to my friend's wife, my wife left crying like crazy. I came home, didn't see my wife, and then they told me everything. I couldn't believe it. All my kids were always kind, nice, not spoiled, and never rude. My older son was always a little bit more connected with me, but he never ever told anything rude to my wife before all of this, and he always loved her so much. So I told him to come into my room. I literally asked him if he was normal. He apologized to me and said he couldn't listen to her anymore. I told him he should never ever talk like that with his mother, and that those gifts aren't for him, and that he doesn't need to apologize to me but to his mother and brother. He started to cry, saying I'm forcing him to call my wife and that he won't talk with her because he hates her. I was speechless. I know he needs therapy and I will solve that really soon. He apologized to his brother. Then I spoke with my younger son. I asked him if he wanted to see his mother on his birthday tomorrow and he said he doesn't. I asked him a few times if he was sure and he said he is. He also refused to see gifts from her and told me to give her back everything she bought. So I called my wife's friend to tell her about this. She told me my wife is having a panic attack and struggles to breathe. After 2 hours she called me saying that she needed to call 2 of her own friends because of my wife and that she is sleeping now after she took some pills. Today when I woke up I saw messages from my wife. She basically told me she doesn't want to live anymore. She can't live without us and she wants to leave and leave me and our 3 kids alone. I called her and told her that I will send her pictures and videos from the birthday but to not disturb me today and that I will talk with both sons after this. She thanked me and again she was saying how sorry she is. A lot of kids came on the birthday. Also friends from my older son and my daughter. So many parents. My friends with their kids. I was just looking at all those couples, how they are smiling and enjoying themselves while I'm trying to pretend everything is okay. What my life turned into. I really wanted to vomit then. I just wanted my birthday to finish as soon as possible. When Melody left as the last one and my kids were in the living room opening the gifts, I went in the garage and I called my wife. I told her to not interrupt me and to shut up. I was screaming, yelling, crying and sarcastically laughing for about 5 minutes. And I told her so many bad things. I didn't curse all the people in the world together as much as I did her. I told her the worst things. And I don't regret anything I said to her. She didn't interrupt me but I could hear her crying. When I finished with my part she just said, "I am so sorry, I will do anything," and kept crying. I wanted to break my phone at that moment. Just told her to fuck off and I ended the call. Now I am sitting in the dark bedroom and I'm writing this. I am just asking myself, what the fuck did I do to deserve this? Is this karma for my crazy behavior when I was younger? I guess I will never know. I was always a problematic kid. Good in school, horrible out of school. I was running from the house so I could be with my girlfriend. I was stealing money from the parents. My mom came up with the idea that I should start practicing Taekwondo so I could release all my energy there. Boy, she was wrong. I started to fight every day and I ended up in the police. Then I went to college. I became friends with the wrong people. I would have exams at 9 a.m. and I would stay in the casino till 6 a.m. playing poker tournaments or blackjack, or I would just drink and go to the nightclubs with the friends and girls. Then I met my wife. She came to work in my country. Some guys had eyes on her, but she was shy and I was a complete mess, but for some reason she liked me. 3 months later she had to go back to her country, but she decided to stay with me. She gave me almost all of her savings so I can pay my debts after about 5 months of relationship. I really thought she was insane for doing that. I still do. But she did change my life and I changed myself because of her. We left about 10 months later for Asia. I will never forget the first apartment where we lived. It was the biggest shithole I have ever lived or maybe even seen. I've no idea how we lived there for 8 months. But we were saving money and we were really happy. Now, I have a house, cars, money, and I'm not happy. I don't want to sound arrogant, but girls always says I'm good-looking guy, in the great shape. I am working out 3-4 times per week. I have great job, career, and I know I can find new GF wife easily, but I seriously think I will never ever marry again. I will never trust anyone 100%. I know this might be a temporary feeling and that life is full of challenges and I should be happy because my kids, parents, brother, SIL, nephews, friends are all healthy and love me, but I am really tired and empty. Sometimes I just want to give up, but then I remember I have 3 kids. Everyone around me expects me to be some kind of magician who is expected to do everything good for everyone around me. Everyone expects me to suffer in silence and to not say a shit what is going through my head. Do best for your kids. Take care of your wife. Maybe she will do something to herself. Do that, don't do that. Forgive her. Go on, MC. Don't forgive her, destroy her. Forgive her because of the kids and in some time you will love her again. Fuck her, don't forgive her. Kids are better with you and without her. I am so tired. Tomorrow is just a day for me and the kids. Thank you all. Update 6. Hey guys, a lot of you are messaging me. Everything is alright. Firstly, thank you for your concerns. To be honest with you, I don't know what to tell you. I guess everything is okay? Since I can't sleep, I decided to write this in this late hour. I am feeling much better than in Saturday. I haven't seen my wife since last Thursday. The last time my kids have seen her was on Friday when my son turned 7 and my older son kicked her out. She is still sending me messages and calling our daughter. Yesterday her friend brought me an envelope that my wife sent me. It was a 9-page letter plus 4 additional pages of her changes. She wrote a lot of that, so I will quote some of the parts. First 5 pages were basically just about our past. Literally the timeline of our relationship. What we have been through, our best and worst moments, but how we always stuck together. Last 4 pages. I am embarrassed to say I'm sorry. I can't express how sorry I am. I understand it doesn't mean you too much, but I'm really sorry. I wish I could turn the time back. Seeing you and kids hurt really makes me want to die. I should be the person to help you, not to hurt you. I failed as a mother and wife. When D, older son, yelled at me, I really wished I was dead. What kind of mother does this to her kids? What kind of wife does this to her husband? I understand that you will never love me like you did. That you will not trust me like you did. When you told me you made DNA tests for all of our kids, my heart broke into pieces. That was the toughest moment in my life. That moment when you told me straight in the face that you don't believe me since we met each other and you will probably never believe me again. I need to live with that fact. I just want you to know that I love you. I know you don't think that, but I really love you. I would give my life now for you. I hope I can prove this somehow. I wish you could put my heart in some machine so you can get results to see that I love you. I always knew I love you more than anyone, but after everything I did, I know I love you even more than that. I understand how horrible this sounds, but this is the truth. I threw all of that for what? For a little bit of attention. I lied about you cheating on me so I can have excuses in mine and AP's eyes. Who does that? Only horrible and cruel people. I am really lost. But you are not. I wish I could tell you to be with some girl so we can be one. One, but the truth is we can never be one. One. Whatever you do will not be the same as what I did. Also, I can't imagine seeing you with another woman. I know this is again selfish, but I do love you and I can't accept that, and I hate myself that you don't believe me. I hate myself for whatever I say or do. You just ignore me and don't believe. I wish you broke every single bone inside me that day instead of this. I pray every day and night that you will call me and tell me to come back. I truly believe that day will come. If there is a 0.001% chance, I will believe. And I will never stop believing. I will accept whatever condition you make me return. I will sleep on the floor. I will clean, cook, wash, not talk with anyone. I will lick the floor if I need to. I just want to be near you. I will never understand why I did that. What did I achieve? I was telling Z, her married friend that knew about the affair, how I don't find AP more attractive than you. In my eyes, no one is more beautiful than you. How I love sex with you 1,000,000 times more than with him. And I still went there a few times. I am so sick. I know you don't want to hear this, but I felt like the biggest trash then and with you like the happiest person. And again, I still did this. Since you left me, I ask myself, was everything okay with me back then? Sure, it wasn't. But when I try to remember everything, I feel like someone changed my head, like some type of drug was inside me to do that. I could never imagine myself doing that. Not even in the dreams. And I did that in reality and hurt the person I love the most. I really hope I will find the answer why I did this. I just hope you will not make your decision till then. You were always stronger than I was. I hope you will survive till then. If you want me to leave and stop calling, I will do that, but please don't forget about me. Don't give up on us like I did. I know this sounds horrible, but don't give up on us because of kids and everything we went through together. I know because of this my betrayal is even bigger, but I will do everything so we can be happy again wherever we will be. I am ready to follow you and be there for you 1,000 times more than I was till now. You know I would do and give everything for kids and you. You know how happy we were, but I destroyed everything. If you give me another chance, we will be happy again. Because of you. We will have again like we had. I will show you for the rest of my life how sorry I am and that nothing and no one can stop my love for you. I understand you can say AP stopped, but he didn't. I never looked at AP like I was looking at you. I never touched him like I was touching you. I never even kissed him. I would never bring him near my kids. I would never ever tell him my secrets that I told you after a week of our relationship. I never smiled with him, but I was always smiling with you. I understand my actions tell a different story, but you were always the only man in my heart, and I will never stop hating myself for everything I did. I am so sorry for breaking your heart along with mine. This is something I will never ever forget, but I will live the rest of my life to be there for you and our angels in the best and worst, and I will appreciate every second with you more than ever. I love you more than anything. S. 2 additional pages were about her changes. She wrote this. I'm always telling you that I will do everything for you to forgive me, but I didn't actually do anything yet. Now I will make everything in my power so you can have some answers in your head and start believing me and hopefully one day forgive me, at least in your mind, if not heart. She deleted her IG, TikTok, FB and will never activate them again. I can just say finally. She is trying to find a job. Hey, she has only high school. She has less than 10% chances to find the job here, even as a cleaner, but respect for the hustle. She will write a full timeline about her affair. I really don't care about this. She will not force contact with our sons, but she will go on every football practice they have and watch them. She will come to every event in the school. If they tell her to leave, she will leave. She will send them a few letters per week and will bring their favorite food, snacks and toys a couple of times per week. Okay, I like this. She cut contact with the friend that knew about the affair and told her to not call her anymore. It's not her fault, but she can't ask for my forgiveness if she still keeps in contact with the person that encouraged her to prolong the affair. She told me she will tell friend's husband that she knows about everything if I want. I like this because I never liked that cow and I honestly don't care if my husband knows or not. She will go on polygraph. She will answer about 20 questions about me, her and AP, and did she ever cheat me before. She is scheduled for 2 days. I am actually looking forward to this. I checked the reviews and it seems this agency is reliable. She will never ever leave the home without me. She says we can put the camera in our home so I can watch if she leaves. When I leave the house and I invite her with me, she will leave. If not, she will just be in the house around the kids. Yeah, this is insane. She will sign a postnup/deal/agreement that says if she ever makes any kind of infidelity, texting with unknown man, sexting, flirting, or PA, she is giving me full custody and leaving all the assets to me. I don't even know if this is possible, especially about kids. I know for assets it might be possible, but not so sure about kids. She starts going on IC this week. Whatever. She will not use phone anymore. If she does, she will not have a password and will delete and block all male, female contacts except us, family and 2 friends. She never had a password and I really don't care about her contacts. If we reconcile when she drives kids to the school and then goes to the supermarket, she will share her location and video record herself in the supermarket so I know she is not talking or meeting with anyone. Or she can order food directly to the house and I can see on the camera that she had contact with the delivery guy. As I said, insane. She started to listen to some podcasts from the ex-cheater and will purchase some books about infidelity. I can't express how much I don't care about this. There was also some other stuff, but it was literally so crazy. Like she will sell all her clothes and use that money for something else. If there is one thing about her that I still believe in, then it is that she doesn't care about money. She never ever bought herself any expensive piece of clothes, shoes, jewelry, bags. She just doesn't care about that. So if she sells everything, she wouldn't earn a lot. Also, she said when she finds a job, she will buy food for herself and other things, so she will never take $1 from me. But my favorite is that she will sell her phone and start using an old phone like Nokia 3310. I would love to see that. At least she wouldn't be capable of sending me so many damn messages that fast. That's about that. Kids are okay. Doing as best as they can. I have a lot of things to do at my workplace, so I'm pretty busy. As I said, my wife still sends me messages where she wishes me good day, morning, night and asks, am I the asshole for making my son live with his mother, stepdad, and 3 step-siblings after he verbally abused my husband? This entire situation is kind of fucked and honestly I'm a bit heartbroken for my husband. Real names IDC, I'm Sean 37M, my husband is Zach 36M and my son is 16, not saying his name. I divorced my ex-wife after she cheated on me for the entirety of our marriage. That was over a decade ago. IDC anymore, son is mine already, over and done. I met Zach when I was 28, my son was 7. Me and Zach hit it off instantly. I was finally in a place to start dating again and thankfully he was the first person I was interested in. We connected on everything me and my ex-wife did and a million more things. People say life has a plan for you and honestly I believe it. I'd go through a million more divorces and be cheated on over and over if I ended up with him every time. One of the big things was my son. Zach was hesitant at first just because of the situation, but he wanted a family badly and I was excited for him to meet my son. After dating for a year, I talked to my ex and told her I'm introducing our son to a guy I'm seeing, told her it's serious and I see a future with him. She was happy for me. We have a very good relationship now. Just told me to tell her when I was going to do it so she could be prepared if our son had any questions for her when he visited next. Zach and my son were best friends. Did everything together. They loved playing Minecraft together. They spent hours sitting in front of the TV. I loved watching them. I was so fucking happy. The first person I found after my ex was this amazing. After about 6 months I asked Zach to move in and the rest is exactly as I've been describing. Amazing. My son started calling Zach his other dad when he was 10. Very sweet moment which makes this hurt worse. Well, last weekend my son had 3 of his friends over. They were playing video games in his room and I just left to do grocery shopping for the week, so it was just them and Zach. I don't know how this topic came up, but things got very homophobic. My husband was sitting on the couch and I guess my son and his friends thought me, and he left, but it was just me. My son's room is connected to the living room, so if you're sitting in the living room it's not super hard to hear what's going on in his room if he's being loud enough. 4 teenage boys playing video games. One of them said how it feels having a F-slur, IDK if I can say it or not on here, as a father. My son laughed and said it was kinda shitty. They said my husband probably touched him when he was little and my son replied, he can try it now, he'll get his ass beat. So not even being a dick to Zach but now also threatening him over something we all know he would never do. They kept saying shit like, which one do you think takes it in the ass? Probably the F-slur, at least your real dad still likes women, just a bunch of hateful shit. My husband sat there listening to it all silently crying. Also Zach has spent a good 4 hours a day at the gym for the last 3 years, so IDK who's getting their ass beat, but it ain't him. I got home about 2 hours later to my husband sitting in his car with a bag packed waiting for me so he could leave but didn't want to leave my son alone. I asked what's going on, why are you leaving, and he told me everything. I tried to understand as best I could. I insisted he wasn't serious. He's just being a stupid kid acting tough with his friends, but it didn't matter. The damage was done. Zach left and I went inside and went off on my son. His friends left and I spent a good 3 hours going back and forth with my son. At first he was very unapologetic and kind of agreed with his friends. I asked if he actually thought my husband sexually abused him when he was younger and he said no, but kids block those kinds of memories out, so really who knows. I told him to pack his shit, he's living with his mother. Info, his mom lives 3 hours away, which means new school, new friends if at all, less private space as he'd have to share a room with his stepbrother, etc. Just everything that you'd expect going from a single kid in a house to one of 4. My son instantly changed his attitude. He was crying, begging me not to send him away. He didn't mean it, he was just lying to seem cool to his friends. I asked why he doubled down when they left and he didn't have an answer. I told him to pack his shit, he's leaving in the morning. Called my ex, told her the situation and she agrees he needs something drastic. What he did wasn't okay at all. Fast forward to now and my husband is back, but he cries every night. Honestly, it feels like he's mourning, which I don't want, because when you mourn you don't get over someone, you get as close to indifferent as possible to keep living your life without them. I don't want that. I want my husband and my son to have that strong bond I know they have and don't want them to throw it away over this. I don't agree with what my son did, but those accusations at minimum can ruin someone's life and at most end it. I'm disgusted with my son. He calls me every day and tells me he misses me and Zach and wants to come home. I stay strong on the phone, but after I break down and my husband tries to console me. Tell me my son can come back and he will leave, but no, I'm not doing that. I just don't know what to do. I miss my son. I miss coming home and seeing them spending time together. I've thought about therapy for him, but he said no. You can't force therapy on someone. They'll just sit there for an hour and piss away $400. I need advice. Relevant comments. The Book of Torment. I'd be contacting the parents of those 3 other idiots too. OOP. I told them what happened and why they came home so soon. Original plan was to spend the night over. They said they'd handle it and thanked me for informing them, but who knows if they actually did anything. Stoner Therapist 89, NTA. Therapist here, but obviously everyone is different, so take it with a grain of salt. Parenting is sometimes wildly difficult, and this is one of those times. You did exactly the right thing. There are so many lessons for your son to learn here. Just name a few. He needs to not only learn the consequences of his actions, but that some things truly cannot be taken back. 2. Trying to be cool by being an asshole for absolutely no reason will not end well. It will not only alienate the people who actually care about you, but the people who get off on being unkind will eventually turn on you too. 3. Most people do not get along with their step-parents, and he has been taking that for granted. Separately, if you let him back and Zach leaves, your relationship with your son will be forever altered, as well as your son's life in general. All the love Zach has for him and their connection can be repaired once he gets his head out of his ass. If Zach leaves, your son will know he ruined his father's relationship for the rest of his life. The guilt and resentment from that can cause huge problems later on in life. This can be worked on. It can be resolved. I strongly suggest making family therapy a requirement for moving back into the house with an LGBTQIA+ friendly therapist, who can get down to the root of how harmful this was and make him understand that. Individual therapy is also a great idea, but family dynamic stuff needs to take priority. Edited to correct names. Grimwall. This is great advice, but considering the man alleged he was possibly a pedophile, OP's husband clearly isn't going to risk his future on someone who is capable of being that callous. I wouldn't either. This is fixable, but it doesn't mean it will be. It's not any different if a blended family comes together, and the daughter accuses her stepdad of touching her. There was literally a post 2 months ago about this exactly. He moved out, divorced the mom, and refused to stop the divorce once she confessed her bio dad put her up to it so he could fuck with the mom. Kid thought dad would come back if it happened. Newsflash, he didn't. That said, everyone told him that his future wasn't worth risking it. Just because he didn't get a full-on accusation and a police investigation doesn't mean he should be asked to risk it. I'm saying the same here. Zach said he would move out if the son came back. I think we are likely beyond counseling, at least for a while, certainly not while he's a minor. There is hope in the future though, and this is the way. Neat Pen 6522, absolutely NTA. Your son is old enough to know what he said is wrong, and he also chose being cool to his friends over his stepdad, who has shown him nothing but love and support for more than half his life. Everything we say and do has a consequence, whether good or bad, and no one should be exempt from those consequences even when it hurts. It's the pain that teaches the lesson of how powerful our words and actions are. With that said, the consequences can be taken further to ensure that your son learns this valuable lesson. I think you and Zach need to sit down and make a list of things your son needs to accomplish this year while with his mother in order for Zach to feel comfortable with your son moving back at some point. Some examples. Volunteer in some sort of LGBT program for teens where he has to directly interact with them one-on-one. Counseling. A letter of apology to Zach and a separate one to you. A sit-down, probably over Zoom, with you guys, him, his mother, and her partner if she has one, where all his parents discuss how wrong his choice was, the real-life consequences to Zach that could have happened, how he broke trust with Zach, and so on. He needs to see all of you adults band together on this so he can get it hammered home that you are united in this. Anything Zach personally requires from your son in order to move forward. The harsh truth that things may never be the same with him and Zach ever again. His words permanently impacted that. Update. This will be long. Sorry. Not going to lie, the entire OG post was basically a disaster. I expected a few replies with only one actually being helpful, and then the post died. Didn't happen that way. So much back and forth and so much hate towards me being gay. I expected some, but holy shit. I was done with that post when someone suggested that me and my husband both abused my son sexually just now. Disaster. I thought living in bumfuck Montana was bad with the homophobic shit I deal with. As for the update, I spent the day yesterday with my son. A lot of people accused me of not taking his claim seriously. I did. The first 30 minutes of our initial talk when this all happened was about if he actually was abused. He said no. I asked again when I got here. I made sure to let him know there is no one I'd believe over him. He won't be punished for saying the truth if he was abused for not, but I needed to know. Again, he said no, he was never touched or raped by my husband. On to the questions and his answers. Why would you say something so dangerous? My son said he was feeling rejected by my husband since as of late he hasn't been spending nearly as much time with him. Which is true. A large part of my husband's life is my son. Zach tutors him, he coaches him in his sport, basketball. He goes on morning runs with my son, he used to drive him to and from school before my son got his car. They both share a lot of interests, and as a kid/step-parent dynamic they spend a lot of time together. Towards the end of last year's summer when my son was still with his mother's, my husband talked to me. He said he wanted to start spending more time apart, but not that kind of apart. He wanted to have more of a social life. He wanted to be able to do things away from us but not like separate, if that makes sense. He realized my son would be leaving for college in 2-ish years, and my son was such a large part of his life he didn't want to become depressed after he left with nothing to do. I agreed and said it was a good idea, and he had my full support as long as he still came home every night at a reasonable time and didn't let his relationship with my son suffer or anything. As of now, yes, it is different. My son doesn't need rides to school. He doesn't need tutoring. He doesn't do basketball anymore. Their hobbies are still the same, but my husband has been spending less time at home. It's not like he's gone all hours of the day and comes back at 3 a.m., but he has a healthy social life. IDK, how to explain it? Do you realize how dangerous it is to say something like that if it isn't true? He said yes, and he didn't think anyone was listening. He was just going along with his friend's shit. That didn't make sense to me, so I asked why he stood by his statement after I sent his friends home. He said he thought he shouldn't back down from something he says. Kind of like a ride or die. IDK. I told him that's fucking stupid and never do that, especially if he regrets what he said and it wasn't true in the first place. He said he knows he realized that when it happened, but he just couldn't stop himself from keeping it up. It didn't hit him that it was serious until I told him he's going to stay with his mother. Why do you want to be friends with people that talk so much shit about your parents? He doesn't want to, but the kids bully the shit out of everyone they don't like, and he feels like he's in too deep to back out now. I do understand. I had kids in my school like that. Bully everyone. They were cool to me though until they found out I was gay, then they fucked my last few years of high school up. I told him I get it to some degree, but he doesn't have to add into what they're saying. Small chuckle and a fuck you is usually enough to get people to move on from something. I also asked about them bullying him because they kind of were. He said yeah, but they're not that bad with it. They just rip into him every so often about having gay dads, and I guess over time it made my son feel poorly towards my husband. The distance my husband was setting with my son mixed with his friends saying the shit they did just added up to that. I told him I understood. I want to make it clear, I don't support what he said. I understand the emotions behind it though. Why didn't you talk to us about how you were feeling? He said he didn't want to start anything. My husband and he are still close. He didn't know how he felt and was more confused than anything. So why say something that would cause a fight if he didn't even know if he felt that way? I also understood this. At this point I think this is just one miscommunication after another. Open dialogue would have prevented all of this from happening. There were a lot more questions, but me and my ex ended with, do you actually feel remorseful for what you said, or are you just tired of sleeping in the same room as a 7-year-old? He's actually remorseful. Told me even if he was staying there all year he would still feel terrible over what he said about Zach. Reassuring him again if anything did happen, now is the time to speak and I will believe him again. He said no. He started crying saying he just missed us. Emotional moment. We hugged, told him I loved him and that would never change. Asked him to leave the room so me and his mother could talk. We decided on a month-to-month assessment to see when he would get privileges back, ending with him coming home. There were conditions to all of this, like family therapy, solo therapy, cutting his friends off completely, which I would help with. He was against the solo therapy but came around. He asked if Zach was here. I said no, but would ask him if he wanted to come next time, which my son smiled at. I still agree sending my son to my ex-wife's was the right move. A lot of people aggressively disagree. Which is fine. My parenting style isn't for everyone. One of you told me I should beat the kids up though, so like, do I really care if some of you disagree with how I patent IDK? Not really. Situation still sucks. IDK, what to say? I miss my son. He isn't coming home right now and I wish I was leaving her house with him. As it stands right now, son is living with his mother and her family. He will get his phone and PS5 and car back at the end of the first, second and third month. In that order, he will be able to move out of the room he's currently in, out into the guest house at the end of month 4. Every month after that is touch and go, and we'll discuss at the end of each month what we think son will do. Bi-weekly solo therapy, and we will all do bi-weekly family therapy. We see it as he should do solo therapy 1 week, then family therapy the next. He can come back sooner. I want him back. My husband wants him back. He's wanted him back since he left. His mother is holding strong, but she also sees he's just miserable, so I think she'll break at some point and give up the guest house early. It is what it is. At the end of the night, my son asked if Zach would want to hear from him so he could apologize, and I told him yes. I've told him yes a few times now. Zach would love to hear from him. I doubt he'd have to wait longer than 1 ring before Zach picked up. My son called him as I was leaving, so I know they spoke. IDK about what though? When I got home, Zach was feeling like shit and blaming himself more for all of this. I told him it's no one's fault, we just needed to talk to each other more. All in all, I think my son is remorseful and he was just feeling trapped and isolated in a shitty situation and didn't know how to get out of. I feel for him and I wish I saw what was happening sooner. Thank you all for the advice. Or most of you. Some of you were just nasty and hateful. Someone on my first post called Stoner Therapist, something like that, gave good fucking advice. I didn't say it on that post, but if you read this good shit, thanks for it. Next update will be when he comes home. Hopefully it will be soon. Thanks y'all. Relevant comments. Scary Cycle 1508. I think my last verdict was NTA, so I can only reiterate that I do think you did the right thing. You removed your son from a situation that wasn't just hurtful to your husband, but also to your son, because the influence from those other kids was just disgusting. Also to your husband. It's definitely not his fault. He is doing the smart thing, developing a social life for when your son is off to school. Did you talk to your son about why Zach was spending less time at home? Did he understand that it was so he wouldn't be as miserable once your son is out of the house? Avocado_Mr. 284. With what Zach did, the issue isn't that he chose to develop a social life. That's smart of him. The issue is that he pulled away from this kid he had a very close parental relationship with, and gave him no warning or explanation. That's going to make any kid insecure and unhappy. Sure, OP could have explained this to his son, but honestly, in a perfect world, since Zach and the son were so close, he would have done this himself instead of being shielded by OP, and would have known to do this. Both OP and Zach did screw up here. Not on a massive level, to be clear. Just the ordinary kind of screw up which all parents, even the excellent ones, make at some point. It just sucks that it spiraled here, but I do think the bullying and discriminatory environment at school is more to blame than this mistake. Revolutionary Cow 7961. What your kid did is horrible, not gonna sugarcoat. But what your husband did and you allowed was bound to backfire. Who the hell ever heard of pulling away from your kid because he'd be going to college in a couple of years? And your husband didn't want to feel sad because he would miss him so much when he left. For God's sake, your husband needs to grow emotionally. Way to cause your kid to have a breakdown because he suddenly feels unloved and doesn't know why. I'm sorry what the kid said was reprehensible, but if anyone is to blame here, it's the parents for being idiots and thinking this would ease your husband's feelings of loss because the little boy is growing up. He basically abandoned the kid with no explanation and pulled away. What did you think the end result would be? Consider yourself lucky he didn't go hog wild, bad kid. I'm sorry this comes across as mean, but I just can't get over doing this to a kid. Prompt No 2857. This is one of the most extreme punishments I've ever heard for a kid's first offense. This kid was getting teased because of his parents and was never coached on what to say. And now they are punished for 4 months because a parent overheard and didn't realize the child was a victim too. OOP, I never said this was his first offense. Most recently he asked a girl out, she said no, so he and his friends egged her car. This is his first offense, as in accusing someone of assault when it wasn't true, but I feel like that's a pretty serious thing to do and not common, so IDK. I doubt he will be gone for 4 months. Prompt No 2857. He didn't accuse Zach of abuse. He was deflecting so he wouldn't be ridiculed. He was in a position he wasn't prepared for. I know you don't want your son ridiculed and teased about being gay at school because that's likely what would have happened if he took up for Zach. Now, for egging someone's car, that's a physical, not just words among friends, and deserves a harsher punishment because that's assault and vandalism. Mighty fine hotcakes. Thank you, stoner therapist from a fellow psych graduate. My comment was very blunt in saying y'all need to do the hard thing and go to therapy. Good job on being parents. It'll take time, but it will be time well invested for the well-being of your family. Stoner Therapist 89, reading the feedback on my post was so interesting. Gotten everything from being called a hero to, you're the worst therapist in the world. So as I said, very interesting.